What's going on, everybody? So, as the title states, I was bored as shit. Didn't feel like watching anything. Didn't feel like playing any games or anything like that. It's all nice and quiet in the house. I figured why not shoot the shit with everybody for a little while. It's been a while since I've done a Q&A or a commentary or anything like that. Didn't have the energy to do a commentary, otherwise I would have done that. But what is going on? So while I get this video pulled up so I can actually see the chat, how's everybody's Monday doing? And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and. Ooh, that's audio. I don't want playing. If you guys want to throw any questions out, I'll just we'll just bullshit for a little while. But hopefully your Monday's going better than mine. I woke up 15 minutes late for work because my stupid ass alarm decided not to function this morning. And then I ran out the door so quick that I forgot my ID. So then I had to get a temporary ID at work, which is never fun. All right, got quite a few people in here already. Awesome. 91 viewers. You guys are the shit. Oh, let me see here. Way too many to name, but I see a lot of familiar faces in here. What's going on, everybody? Why are my balls so big? Can't answer that one. Let's see here. What's your favorite Alice in Chains song? Nutshell. Nutshell is probably my favorite song of all time, period, actually. I always loved the acoustic version, but when I actually heard the studio version for the first time, it was weird. It had like this kind of eclectic feel to it. It was almost like I was really into Alice in Chains at the time, so I was kind of going back and looking at some songs and some albums that I haven't already familiarized myself with, and I finally found online, back when we all used to give our computer aids with LimeWire and everything like that, I found the studio version of Nutshell, which nobody ever plays. You always hear the acoustic live, like the MTV one, and I don't know, something about it, something about the way that the harmonies were, and kind of the way that his voice was when he does like the chorus. Something about it just kind of felt like Beyond the Grave or something. It's hard to explain, but it's always had an effect on me. Cody, are you playing Kingdom Hearts 3 today? I have never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games. I don't know if I'd like it. It looks like one of those Final Fantasy type games where you choose your weapon and choose your attack, and if it's not, let me know. But yeah, I've never played the other ones. I'm curious about it, but no, I've been playing. I haven't played games in months, honestly, but I've been playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. I got that on Friday. Played it for like half an hour Friday night. Played it for like maybe 3 hours on Saturday, about 4 hours on Sunday, and beat it with Leon. And then I played like maybe an hour into Claire's storyline, but I really like that so far. If you're a Resident Evil fan, definitely check that shit out, because it's as good, if not better, than the original Resident Evil remake that they've kind of redone a couple of times. So I'm hoping they do Nemesis next. Let me see here, because I'll start naming some names too. Ms. Sky, hey Cody, how do you feel about I Spit on Your Grave? Honestly, I've never seen either one of them, so I can't really judge it, but somewhere along the ways, like maybe in my early 20s, for whatever reason, any movie that has to do with like brutalizing somebody or like really gratuitous rape or like Last House on the Left or Hostel or something like that, for some reason I just got to where I just don't have any interest to watch them. Not that I ever like had like a huge interest before, but like I used to be somewhat of a fan of Hostel. I used to be somewhat of a fan of Hostel 2. But those are movies that I'll probably never watch again. I don't know why. It's just like a switch went off. And I know when I Spit in Your Grave, especially the remake, from what I hear, it's like a really long, drawn out, like uncomfortable rape scene. And for whatever reason, it just, that subject matter just doesn't really draw me in to want to watch it. There's just certain things that I think I just choose not to watch. I choose not to have the memories of seeing that. I don't know why. Certain things. It's not like I'm not like a rape victim myself or anything like that. It's not like I have some psychological reason to do it. Just for whatever reason, one day a switch went off, and certain aspects of horror, I just don't have any interest to ever really check it out. So, the Horror Junkie 78, are you going to review Candyman 3? Yes, eventually. I'm not in a hurry because I know I'm going to hate it. I didn't enjoy the second one at all, and everybody said that one's decent. The third one, basically, everybody says is garbage. So I'm not really looking forward to, one, paying money to see it, and two, reviewing it just yet. Right now, although I've only gotten one out. I'm trying to focus on Patreon reviews right now until at least the end of February. Is kind of my goal to get them all out. I've got like 15 or 16 videos that I've really neglected to get done because I've had so many things that are time critical that I've had to do, and work's got in the way and everything. Not a whole lot of excuse, honestly, but I've want to actually dedicate time to where I tell myself, okay, no franchise reviews, except for maybe the major shit like Glass, no new release reviews, just get these Patreon requests out. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be focusing on until the end of February. And then in March, provided I meet my goal, then I'll start looking into like Candyman 3, finish up the Phantasm series with Lee, start diving into another horror series, maybe Hellraiser, even though it's going to be hard. Maybe Hellraiser or Leprechaun or something. There ain't a whole lot of good ones left. I've pretty much taken out all the good ones. I've front loaded my channel with all the shit that I wanted to talk about. Now I got selections of shit left. Let me see. If I skip your questions, by the way, guys, it's not because I'm not interested in your question. It's just because there's a lot of questions being fired out. So as I read one, four more pop up. So feel free to keep posting a question if it seems like I missed it. And I have a super chat. Nathan Oswald, are you going to do a commentary on Cult of Chucky? Maybe eventually, but I don't really have any interest in doing that right now. Everybody knows my thoughts on Cult of Chucky. Watching it live isn't really going to change that. And I really did not enjoy doing the Freddy's Dead commentary. And everybody wanted me to. Everybody couldn't wait for me to just bitch about it for an hour and a half. But just when I do a commentary, like Halloween 2018, as much as that is like a controversial opinion that I've had, as much shit as I've gotten for those reviews, that was actually the most fun commentary that I've ever done because that movie has so much to discuss that it was effortless. I just watched the movie and I could still enjoy watching it. There's so many things that I can pull out and talk about. Cult of Chucky is one of those movies where I would just be bitching the entire time. Like, why the fuck did you do that? Why they have that makes no sense. That's stupid. Why do you fuck this? And that's just not entertaining for me. I'm sure it's entertaining for you guys, but maybe eventually. But that's not on the top of my list of things I'd like to do. I think I have another. There it is. I got one more super chat. Crown the Empire. Thank you, Nathan, by the way. What are your thoughts on the new Pet Cemetery? It is my second most anticipated movie this year, behind Child's Play, for obvious reasons. Um, I can't wait to see it. It seems like they've got their ducks in a row, although it always does seem like that until we actually see the movie. But the trailer looked really good. It looks like they're going in some different directions. I've supposedly more novel, accurate directions. Um, although the line in the trailer about the ground is bad, that annoyed me. But other than that, I really look forward to seeing what John Lithgow is going to do in the character of Judd because I've always loved him as an actor. I think he's brilliant. And I like the rest of the cast too. Like Jason, what's his name? Jason Clarke. He's pretty good in pretty much everything you see him in. Supposedly, it's going to be a lot more brutal as far as like how Gage is portrayed. I'm curious what they're going to do with Zelda more than anything else because I've heard that they're going to be going novel accurate and having her be a little girl and not actually like a man woman like it was in the original. But Zelda is like the scariest thing that's ever been put to film as far as I'm concerned. So I'm really curious about it. I'm trying not to get my expectations too high because that's when you get into trouble. But yeah, I'll be there day one for sure. That's my favorite Stephen King movie is Pet Sematary, the original one. So they have plenty of opportunity to do something awesome as long as they don't fuck it up. So thank you so much for the super chat. Deborah Yu. I know she's tried to have a couple of get on my live streams, but I always choose bad times. So I will go ahead and answer her question. Favorite horror movie ever? I've said it a couple of times, but it's always one of two. And I can never quite decide which one I like more. One's clearly the better film, but the other one is one that it's more important to me because I grew up watching it. It's between John Carpenter's The Thing and The Lost Boys. Those are my favorite horror films of all time. And I don't know if one day I'll ever be able to say that one is my favorite. But those like The Lost Boys was like The Lost Boys, Terminator 2, and like Back to the Future are like the three movies that I probably rewatched the most growing up. I could throw on Lost Boys right now, the 100th time that I've seen it, and just love it all the way through. It's an absolute blast. My favorite vampire movie. Just everything about that movie is a blast. And it's got some really good like gore and some good scares to it too. So that's a classic to me. And then John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, what more is there to say about that? That's just a perfect horror film. Effects are brilliant, have yet to be topped or matched. I love all the characters in it. It's an ensemble cast where you get to know all the different characters slightly, and you kind of, it's a very varied cast. So I love the ambiguity in it. Just awesome. So those are my two favorite horror films of all time. Let me see here. AFPT Horror House. Could you tell us an original idea from you for a new horror movie? Go crazy, pitch us a horror movie from the mind of Cody Leach. Well, you are in luck because I actually did a full video on this. I'm not going to do it here because it would take way too long, or I would shortchange my idea and it wouldn't sound very good. But search when you're done with the stream for a video called Pitch Wars, and you'll find two of them. One of them I did with Durbania, where we pitched our own DC movie, which is an awesome episode if you like the comic book stuff. It's like an hour and a half long, so check that out. But I did one with CP from Willis Greedia where we pitched our own slasher films. And basically what this video was supposed to be, it was an idea that I had for like a little competition kind of thing. And what it was going to be was I would have a guest and I would choose a topic and we would both go our separate ways. We would create our own script as far as the topic goes, like best Marvel film or best vampire film or whatever it was. And we would come back and we would section our scripts into 3 acts and we would share back and forth like act 1, act 1, act 2, act 2, share all 3 acts and then post the video and then let everybody in the comment section vote on who is the winner. And then on the next episode, I'd announce it. I only did 2 episodes because it was a very time consuming endeavor, like especially the DC one, because I put a lot into that script. But all the time it takes to write the script, for one, because I wasn't just doing like a little bullet point thing. I was full blown writing the story and a script. So all the time it took to do that, the time it took to film the collab, which if it's an hour and a half video, you can bet that it's at least an hour and 45 minutes of footage. Then editing, and I try to put a lot into the editing, a lot of visual stuff to go with the storyline and have a lot of really cool backgrounds and, you know, transitions and stuff. And when all was said and done, it was probably a 10 to 12 hour video for the first one. The second one was probably about 8 to 10 hours because it was a little shorter. But the amount of time that I put into it, unfortunately, it didn't net that many views. I think the slasher one was sitting around like 300 views for the longest time, which I can drop a movie review right now and get 300 views before 9:30. So it was one of those things where I'd like to revisit it at some point. Maybe after I hit like maybe 30,000 or something, I'll revisit it and see if maybe it catches on a little bit better now that my following's grown quite a bit more than what it was back then. But that was a really fun video, both of them, that just unfortunately just didn't justify the amount of time and effort and work that I had to put into it for the amount of views that it was. But all of that ranting and raving and long gigantic tangent, the answer to your question is in that video. So CP has a video, or has a script that's like a digital like hacker slasher, hacker slasher, like computer hacking slasher, and mine was kind of more along the lines of like The Collector or something like that. So go check that out. It's a fun video. Candyman commentary. That is a damn good idea, Tiger Man. That is a good idea. I was actually just sitting here before I went live. I was like, do I have enough energy for a commentary? What would I do? And I couldn't think of anything because I only want to do commentaries for movies I've already reviewed. Otherwise, I kind of spoil my review in the commentary. But Candyman, that's a good idea. Maybe when I get the 3rd review out as like a little celebration of getting all 3 Candymans, or maybe not a celebration since 2 and 3 are supposed to be terrible, I'll do that. So that's a good idea. When will you review Phantasm 3, 4, and Ravager for Nicole Ketcher? We've heard this question a lot, so I'm going to answer it. Phantasm 3 will probably be out before the end of February for sure. And then 4 and Ravager, hopefully not too long after that. Maybe February, March, and then April. That was a series that I started with Lee because Lee had never seen any of the movies before, and I grew up with them. So I really wanted to do something with him with Garnet to kind of get 2 different perspectives, the longtime fan and then the brand new fresh eyes in 2018, which will now be 2019. But I think we both just kind of lost sight of it because we got Phantasm 1 and 2 out of the way, which are easily the best of the franchise. And then after that, I think Lee got busy with Halloween stuff. I got busy with Halloween stuff. And it's just months go by quick in the YouTube world. So But we've acknowledged it because we've had a couple of questions in Scream Stream too about when we're going to get back to that. And I think we were talking about January, but now since there's like what 3 days left in January, we'll probably do it at the beginning of February. So look forward to that. I'll make sure we get the ball rolling on that. I hate Facebook. 31 184. Have you seen any of the Ghostbusters movies? I've seen all of them. I grew up with the first two. I haven't seen the second one in years. I never really cared for the second one that much, but the first one's a classic. Obviously, that's one of those movies. Like, what more can you say about it? I didn't like the remake. The remake. I didn't hate it. It's not as bad as some people make it out to be. It's not the worst thing in the world. It wasn't a complete dumpster fire, but it wasn't good, and it certainly was not good in comparison to the original, which they kept comparing themselves to the entire fucking movie. Every 5 minutes was a reference to the original movie, which is like, if you want this movie to succeed, you might not want to remind us there's a better movie out there. But I will say I'm really excited for the new one, Ghostbusters 3. For anybody that hasn't already heard, which I don't know why you wouldn't with today's social media, but what the fuck is his name? John Landis. Not John Landis. What am I thinking? Oh, I'm blanking on the name. The son of the guy that made the original Ghostbusters is taking on Ghostbusters 3, and it's coming out next year. And it's supposed to have the original cast back, minus Harold Ramis, obviously, because he passed away. And I'm really excited for that. And then I almost did a video on Leslie Jones, her whole tirade against the movie. Fucking idiotic. But I almost did a video on it, but I didn't want to open myself up to a bunch of sexism and racism and everything that would come along with, that video. But yes, big fan of the original. Fingers crossed for Ghostbusters 3. Will you review the Saw movies? That's a franchise that, I would probably like to review Saw quicker than I would like to review Hellraiser, just because I've at least seen those. But yeah, Saw, yeah, I will review them eventually. To be honest with you, I don't really give a shit about Saw past maybe the third movie, and the third movie is just kind of like a passable watch. I grew up. I was in high school when the first one came out, and Saw kind of became that series that everybody became obsessed with, even people that aren't really horror fans. So, kind of my horror snob self got turned off to it very quickly because everybody was just like jumping on the Saw dick. They're like, "Yeah, this is the greatest thing I ever saw," every single year. And I was just like, they're not that good. Like, there's many more horror movies you should check out, because Saw everybody blows because of the fucking ending. And Saw's got some good stuff to it, but Saw's not nearly as good as people make it out to be. Saw 2, in my opinion, is much better. Saw 3 has some decent stuff in it, but then by then it really starts to get redundant, and then from 4 on, forget about it. It's fucking ridiculous, like how out of this world this guy's plan. Apparently it's like he planned for every single scenario for the next 20 years. And I had hope that Jigsaw was going to be good and really like be like the best of the series, maybe, or even close to the best of the series, because of the directors. And even that one was just like, this is just more of the same. It's the same shit. So yeah, eventually I will. Renegade Hero favorite Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 4 has always been my favorite. I know that's not the popular pick because people like to shit on 4 because it kind of introduced the action stuff, but 4 is still a very horror-centric game. But what I love about 4 is they strike the balance, because they have the survival horror stuff, they have the incredible boss battles, they have all the different stages and the different, like, you have the farmland, and then you have the castle, and then you have, the labs, and it has all these really iconic stuff about it. But it ramps up the action a little bit, which is, as much as I love stuff like the Resident Evil 2 remake, as much as I love those types of survival horror games, I always get to a point in those games where I start to get pissed off, because part of the cliche survival horror setup is to put you in this situation and not give you any fucking ammo for like hours. And it drives me nuts when I get into one of these games, and then for like an hour and a half, I have to run around and try to avoid certain rooms, or try to like, shimmy across liquors and stuff like that, because I don't have any fucking bullets. It drives me insane. And there was a good hour and a half stretch in the middle of Resident Evil 2 where I was like, oh, here we go. No ammo in sight anywhere. And I have all this shit that I have to kill or try to avoid, and it's like impossible. So it's like you have to just run around like an idiot. And I always feel like there's a way you can strike a better balance without putting it on super easy mode. Resident Evil 4 struck that balance for me. I've beat that game more times than probably any other game. It's either that or the first Metal Gear Solid, but I've beaten Resident Evil 4 like 10 or 12 times. I've bought it for PS2, I bought it for PS3, I bought it for PS4. So all the way back to the GameCube, I've rebought that game so many times. But yeah, that's my favorite Resident Evil game. Holly Jones, come kiss my forehead. I'm still sick. Yeah, Holly and little Riley have had a rough weekend. They've been hit by some stuffy nose and some headaches and some other nastiness. So we had a nice, fun weekend. So I love you, honey. Hope you feel better. She's at work right now. Toughing it out. Will you ever rank all the horror franchises kind of like 31 and the 31st? Probably not, because I don't know where you stop the line at all the horror franchises. I mean, are we just talking about, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Scream, Child's Play, Texas Chainsaw, Hellraiser? Are we talking about adding Leprechaun in there? Are we talking about Saw 2? I mean, what we do have a plan for, though, probably sometime around April or May. We're going to do another 31 on the 31st style video, but we're going to do it for Scream, Texas Chainsaw, and Child's Play, because those are kind of undisputed. Those are the next three in line with Nightmare, Friday, and Halloween. For me, Child's Play is easy number 4. A lot of people would say Texas Chainsaw is the easy number 4. A lot of people would say Scream's the easy number 4. So those seem like the next three that make sense to do together. I don't know how many movies there are in total. It's probably not 31, but we'll come up with some fancy name for it and probably release it on the 28th or the 29th or however many movies those are. But yeah, we have plans to do that because we had a lot of fun with 31 and the 31st. Let me see. Let me scroll back down. All right, I'm going to go back down to the recent questions just so I can kind of keep track here. I don't get too far behind. Ever played Red Dead Redemption 2 from Gav Tav? Yes. I'm not all that high on it. I haven't really been a fan of what Rockstar's been doing since Grand Theft Auto 4. I was a Grand Theft Auto fanatic, like everybody was in the the 2000s. After Grand Theft Auto 3, Rockstar was like on top of the world. Grand Theft Auto Vice City was probably my favorite. San Andreas was great. But then you had Grand Theft Auto 4, which just by then it just felt like more the same. I mean, it was fun, don't get me wrong, but by the end of the game, I was just like, this just feels like another Grand Theft Auto game. And then Rockstar just kind of kept churning out these Grand Theft Auto style games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto on a horse. I know it's more than that, but to a degree, it's Grand Theft Auto on a horse. And I didn't think the first Red Dead Redemption was as good as everybody made it out to be. I enjoyed it, but it was just like it's another Rockstar game. So with Red Dead Redemption 2, it came out. I got it day one. I played it quite a bit. I probably put a good 10 or 12 hours into it. But I'm a type of guy that likes to do everything. I don't just stick to the storyline missions. I like to go and explore and hunt and do all kinds of stuff. And it's got a lot of stuff in it. But again, by the time I got 8 or 9 hours into it, I'm just like, this is more the same. It's a bigger world, more shit to do, more busy work, what I call it. More hunting, more, card games and poker games. But like the main missions, it's just the same types of missions I've been playing since Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Escort this person, drive to this place, get in a shootout, go all the way back to your camp. And I've just kind of grown tired of the Rockstar formula. Everybody's telling me that Red Dead Redemption 2 is awesome, that I should finish it and keep playing it and everything, but I just don't have any interest to go back to it. I'm sure I will eventually. I'll get bored on a Saturday or something like that and throw it in, but it just lost my interest. It's more the same to me. So I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's clearly not. It's a very big endeavor for a game, but it's just not. It doesn't blow me away like everybody else. Cody, have you seen Suspiria 2018 from Nick Soul? Yes, I actually watched it last weekend. It finally popped up on Amazon, and I've been dying to see it, so I just went ahead and bought the digital copy. I bought the Blu-ray too, but I liked it. It's very different than the original Suspiria, which to me is what you should do if you're doing a remake, especially to a movie that's as beloved as Suspiria. Don't go in and just do the same shit with 2018 actors. If you're going to do a remake, I've always said you either need to do something to rectify shit that the original movie did wrong, Like if it's a movie that's not hailed as a masterpiece, but a movie that was good but had a lot of problems, so fix all those problems and do a remake. Or if it's a movie that's hailed as a masterpiece, go in a completely different direction. Hold on to the spirit, hold on to the tone or the look of the movie or whatever you want to hold on to. Maybe the overall story, but go in a completely different direction. And that's what this movie does. I will say though, well, sticking with positives, I like how they focus more on the dancing because that's another different aspect. It's definitely got some gnarly kills and some gnarly gore in it for sure, especially in like the final 15 minutes. I liked all the acting and everything in it. It had some good atmosphere to it. It doesn't have that signature, Dario Argento color scheme to it, but I don't think that they should have tried to replicate that. It would have just looked silly to me. But I'll say this: there is a character in this movie played by Tilda Swinton, she plays three different characters in the movie. She plays Madame Blanc, who's like the lead dance instructor. She plays this psychiatrist character who is a man, and then she plays like the head witch. And this isn't a spoiler, by the way. They tell you this from the beginning of the movie that this chick exists. But if you've seen the original Suspiria, the head witch that's all like wrinkled and decrepit that she finds in the last act, she plays that version of this character in the new movie. So she plays three different characters. If you cut that middle character out, that psychiatrist character, the old man, and all of the Nazi Germany side story and everything regarding his wife, all of this tangent storyline regarding that character, I would like this remake more than the original. But with that character in here, it is the biggest example that I've seen in a long time of dead fucking weight. Every time the movie takes time to focus on this character and the Nazi Germany storyline and him talking about his wife and everything, it feels like it has no connection to Suspiria whatsoever. It feels like a total side quest. Like if this was a TV series, that would be the filler episode. It doesn't feel like it fits. It doesn't fit the theme of the movie. It doesn't fit the storyline. It just feels like an excuse for Tilda Swinton to once again play a man type character to show her acting uh spectrum, whatever the fuck you want to call it, her acting ability. But even that side of things, like from the beginning of the movie, there was just always something off about him. Even before I realized it was Tilda Swinton, I'm like, why does this guy look so weird? There's something about him. Something just isn't. What is it with this? And then by about the 45-minute mark, I was like, I think it's Tilda Swinton playing him. And I had to Google it, and I'm like, son of a bitch, it is her. So even that, it was just distracting. But if you had cut that character out completely, I would like this more than the original. There's my review on Suspiria 2018. Probably more than you were asking for. What's your favorite Metal Gear Solid game by Onyx Shidori? The original. Easy. Easy original. Second place would be Snake Eater, the third one. Corey Allen. Hey, Cody, what do you think of the Sometimes They Come Back remake, Guilty Pleasure of Mine? I didn't know they had a remake to it. I actually need to look that up. I like the original a lot. I have it. It's like a TV Stephen King movie, and it's good. I like the original. The second one is a lot gorier. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember liking that as a kid. But I didn't realize that they had remade it. Or unless you're asking me what about a remake, then yes, I would like them to remake it because it's definitely a movie that you can improve upon pretty easily. I like it. It's got like you said, guilty pleasure. It's got some charm to it, but it's a very made for TV Stephen King movie. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is the greatest story ever in a video game. See, I hear a lot of people say that. I just don't see it. Let me see. Kind of lost my place for a second, but let me see where I'm at. Easy2184. What are your top 5 albums of all time? What the hell's in my eye? You see my eye getting all red. There's something like a hair or something in my eye. That's a hard one. Top 5. I probably would need time to actually give a definitive list, but I'll just kind of rattle off some that are definitely like in my top 10. The Black Album by Metallica, Master of Puppets by Metallica, um, Demolition by Judas Priest, which is a pick you're not going to hear very many people say. Um, House of Golden Bones Part 1 and 2 from Stone Sour, Dirt by Alice in Chains, Hey Stupid from Alice Cooper, I know there's more. I'm just trying to think of ones that are like defined my life. Um, I think it was called Come Clean, the first like major Puddle of Mud album. They're a band that isn't really doing a whole lot as of late, but when that album came out, that was a really big deal when I was in junior high, and I wore that CD out. Still to this day, I love almost every song on it. I'm pretty sure it's called Come Clean. It's the one with Blurry and Control and everything on it. Trying to think of more. I'm blanking. Godsmack Faceless. Um, Blackbird by Alter Bridge. That's enough for now. But yeah, along those lines. Like I said, I would need time to really think about it because I know I'm forgetting some major ones where I'm like, fuck, how did I forget that? Juno 2000. Have you seen The Faculty? I love The Faculty. I'll definitely be reviewing that before long. That's one of my favorite like sci-fi alien films ever, and an awesome soundtrack. While we're talking about music, Dank Bloop, thoughts on Punisher season 2? I've only got 2 episodes into it so far. I like it. I'm not in love with it, but I have a hard time investing myself in it because I know it's going to get canceled. It's as great as it is. Like I had issues with season 1 with the pace of it a little bit, but overall I really liked it. Season 2, I really liked the first episode and how violent it was. The second episode kind of got on my nerves a little bit, which I'm sure the season will rectify, but I really don't like this girl character that he's protecting. She seems like such the cliche, annoying, pain in the ass, like damsel in distress character where she needs help, obviously, to get out of the situation, but she's the type of character in that situation that we've seen over and over and over again in these types of movies or shows where she doesn't listen to a single thing that her protector says. John Bernthal says, don't move. She moves. Don't leave. She leaves. Stay here. She gets out. And it's just like, bitch, do you want to live or not? And so it's got to the point where that second episode, I was like, please tell me it's not going to be the whole season of this where he's just trying to keep her locked up or trying to keep her safe by, at some point I would just be like, fine, leave, die. I don't care. You've sealed your own fate. But yeah, I haven't had that binge, you know, desire for it yet, just because I know by the time I get to the end, it's probably going to be something awesome, and I'm probably going to be like, yes, bring on season 3, and they're going to cancel it, just like they did with Daredevil season 3. That was a flawless season of television, and you get to the end, and you're like, oh, where's this going? Canceled. Fuck. So I'm kind of just taking my time with it. Punisher, the girl does get better, so don't worry. Okay, good. I like the girl, son. Robert Storms. I've only seen 1 episode with her. Well, technically 2, but I'm sure she gets better. I'm just saying. I've seen a lot of movies with that type of character. Jack Reacher 2, perfect example. His daughter or whatever. Aggravating as fuck. Just sacrifice her. Throw her in front of bullets. Let me see here. Will you ever review 28 Weeks Later by Ginger Ale 420? Absolutely. I actually like 28 Weeks Later better than 28 Days Later. So, unpopular opinion, but it's the truth. Super chat. I have Pasta Punk, Maniac or Maniac Cop. I've only seen Maniac. I haven't seen any of the Maniac Cops. But both of the Maniacs really are interesting movies to watch. They're not movies that I'd necessarily would say that I love. Um, they're movies that are really disturbing and weird and off-putting. So it's like it's one of those movies you watch just so you can say you watched it and you can be a part of the conversation. But they're not really movies you throw in on a Saturday night. Like, hey, I'm in the mood for Maniac. Oh, Mother Mayhem. Let's see what smart ass shit she has to say. Don't you have a sick family you should be tending to? Well, there she is. Well, let's see. One part of my sick family is at work, being a sick theater manager. The other sick family member is not so sick anymore. She healed pretty quickly, but she's asleep. And then the 2 that have not gotten sick yet are asleep in there. So, let me see. Daniel Hammond, Cody, have you seen Steven Spielberg's Duel? If so, how come the horror community never mentions it? I have not seen it. I really only heard about it this year. And that's probably why the horror community has not mentioned it, because it's one of those kind of obscure movies. I think that was one of his first ones. But yeah, I just never seen it. Pool Stroke. Have you heard of 3 Days Grace? Of course. I saw them live twice. Once with the original singer Adam Gontier. I never know how to pronounce his last name. And once immediately after he left the band and the new singer took over. Um, they're a band that I always liked. They're definitely radio rock, but I always liked when Adam was with them because they had a certain edge to them, and I liked his songwriting and his voice. But I have not been a fan since they parted ways and got this new singer. Not that he's a bad singer, it just doesn't sound like 3 Days Grace to me. When you have a band that's so signature with their sound, it's very hard to replace the singer above anybody else. Like some people would disagree with that. Like if you're a guitarist, some people say the guitarist, like if it's somebody like Dimebag Darrell, obviously you can't really replace Dimebag Darrell or Eddie Van Halen or something like that. But to me, when the main thing you like about the band is the dude's voice, it's very hard to replicate that with somebody else. So they might be doing awesome as far as their songs and their songwriting and everything, but I just haven't been a fan of them since Adam left. But he's in a band called Saint Sonia with the guitarist from Stained and a couple other people, and they are awesome. They've only had one album, but I saw them live in front of Rob Zombie and Disturbed, and they kicked ass. So I think they're a much better band than 3 Days Grace ever was. Let me see here. Do you like Metalingus song by Alter Bridge? Of course. Um, you should listen to Alice in Chains' self-titled album. I've listened to all of them. The only one I haven't got a chance to really listen to is the Rainier Fog because I bought the album and then immediately after that, the brakes went out on it and I had to give it to the shop and it was gone for like 3 weeks. So I had nothing to listen to music on. And by the time I got it back, I kind of like forgot about it. So I still haven't really given that new album a fair shake yet. Don't know anything about Halloween. Somebody must be arguing about Halloween 2018 in here. I must have missed it. Oh, joy. Um, what do you think of The Exorcist and The Exorcist 3 by Scott Dyer? The Exorcist is a film that I have not seen since I was a kid. It was way, way, way overhyped for me when I was a kid as being like the scariest movie of all time. It was going to scare the shit out of me. It was going to give me nightmares. And I've said this numerous times. There's only two characters in horror that have ever given me nightmares: Zelda and Pennywise, the Tim Curry version. When I was a kid, those are the only two characters in horror movies ever that really got to me, that scared me, that gave me nightmares, that made me look over my shoulder at night. And everybody was promising me The Exorcist was going to do that. And I saw it. I was just kind of like, eh. So I know if I watch it as an adult, I'm going to really like it and appreciate it. But for that reason alone, I have yet to rewatch The Exorcist. So I'm one of the only horror fanatics you're going to find that doesn't have like The Exorcist in my top 5 of all time. Exorcist 3, I haven't seen in quite a few years, but Exorcist 3 is actually pretty underrated because that one was pretty damn creepy and had some good storyline and stuff to it. Good ties to the original movie. So that's one I'd like to revisit too. I'd like to revisit all of them actually. I've never seen the second one. From what I hear about it, I'm not missing anything. But 1 and 3, I do want to revisit those soon. Austin Cruz, have you played the Resident Evil 2 remake? Yes, I've thought about it a couple of times. I really enjoy it so far. I've beaten it once with Leon. I'm about an hour into playing it with Claire. I will argue anyone that says Halloween 2018 was terrible. I told you. I saw Halloween. I'm like, oh, somebody's bitching. All right, let's see. Cody, do you listen to Danzig? No, I've never been a fan. Mother! What do you think about Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy? I'm fascinated by it. I can't wait to see it. Zac Efron is one of those guys. He's like Brad Pitt in a way where all of us males, like 99.9% of us on this earth, are supposed to hate him because he's about 50 times better looking than any of us will ever be. So you always want to hate them because of that. But he's like Brad Pitt in the sense that he's very likable and he's actually a damn good actor. So you can't completely hate him. As much as the High School Musical shit and everything like that, like I hated him back then, but then you see him in stuff like Neighbors, and you're like, this fucking guy's funny. Even Baywatch, like Baywatch is a terrible movie, but he's fun to watch in it. Him playing Ted Bundy, it's either going to make me like him more or less, because if he can really nail something dark and sinister like that, to me, that's going to take his career to the next level and it's going to make him take off. And he's a guy that, because I like him, I would like that. I would like to see him take off. So I'm really fascinated by that. It's a very off the wall choice. You think about a Ted Bundy movie, and you think like, wow, what A-list actor, Oscar bait role are they going to give this to? Is Daniel Day-Lewis going to come out of hiding from his retirement and play Ted Bundy? Nope. We're going to give it to the guy from High School Musical. So the trailer looked interesting. Interesting timing with this Netflix release. I watched like maybe an hour of that, the tapes of Ted Bundy with Holly. She's a serial killer fanatic. So I'm fascinated by that movie. I really look forward to it. I've heard mostly positive, but positive mixed things about the movie from people that saw it at Sundance, but I'm really curious about it. Sumneet Narankari. I probably butchered your name. I apologize. What is the best pizza place around your area? We really don't have anything fancy over here as far as like this mom and pop shop that just makes awesome pizza. But I have a couple different answers. So there is this place called Uncle Mattio's Pizza Joint that is or Uncle Mattio's Pizza Kitchen. It might be Pizza Joint, I don't know, but Uncle Mattio's is what I always call it. And it's essentially like a Subway setup. Like you walk in, they have like 6 or 7 signature pizzas that you can just order, or you can just create your own. But you tell them the size of the pizza, you tell them white, wheat, or gluten free, and then you tell the toppings, and they prepare it all that like on a little assembly line right there in front of you, and then they throw it in the oven, and it's like a Neapolitan style pizza, and it's awesome. There's a meat pizza. I forget what the hell they call it, the Big Macs or something like that. But there's a meat lovers pizza that I get from there that's awesome. And then they have this other pizza, which I have absolutely no reason to like, but it is fucking delicious. And it's called Steak and Blue. It is a pizza crust. I always get wheat. So wheat pizza crust. It's a garlic olive oil sauce. So olive oil and just chunks of garlic. Then they put spinach down, mozzarella cheese, blue cheese crumbles, steak pieces, tomatoes, and then I add bacon to it, and then they bake it. And when it comes out, they do a balsamic glaze swirl on it, which is kind of like it's not like a balsamic salad dressing. It's thicker. It's almost like a syrup, but it's like a really sweet, tangy sauce. That pizza is fucking phenomenal. And I'm not really a blue cheese fan at all. So I have no reason to like this pizza whatsoever, but it is goddamn delicious. So that is probably the best pizza around here. Like if I'm ever in the mood for pizza, if I could just snap my fingers and have one appear, it would be that one. But it's all the way in town and they don't deliver. So it's one of those places where I have to be in town for a reason to actually go there. So I don't eat there very often. As far as places that deliver, there is a locally owned place that kind of went crazy around here and got like 12 locations in like a year called Stoner's Pizza Joint. That's why I was confused. I was like, is it Uncle Mattio's Pizza Joint or am I thinking of Stoner's? But Stoner's Pizza Joint. And as much as that name might make you think that it's just a bullshit shot that's trying to be funny, their pizza was actually really good. And they always had really good deals. But I think they recently got bought out because I'm starting to see a lot of the old Stoner's locations be changed to another name, Super Baked Pizza. So somebody likes their ganja in the pizza world. But as far as just like bullshit chain white boy pizza, I like Papa John's more than the rest of them. I've tried Pizza Hut numerous times. I've tried Domino's numerous times. I used to love Marco's, which is a place that started up in Ohio where I lived growing up, but their pizza has gotten a little bit too salty and greasy for me. So Papa John's to me is the best as far as like your generic brand that everybody knows. But Uncle Mattio's is the best pizza around here. But I don't have any like there's no like top 50 pizza joints in the US that's going to be popping up in Savannah because Savannah just doesn't have it. That was a long answer for a pizza question. You got me excited. All right, let me see. What is your favorite Tarantino film? I think Pulp Fiction is probably the safe choice for that. My favorite Tarantino thing is True Romance, but he only wrote that movie. True Romance is probably in my top 5 or 6 films of all time. But as far as like what people consider the Tarantino films, the one that he directed, Pulp Fiction's pretty easily the best one to me. Second place would be probably Inglorious Bastards. It's either that or Django, but Inglorious Bastards I think is a little bit better than Django. Let me see here. Trying to see some. What are your thoughts? Okay, I hate Facebook 31184. What are your thoughts on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, old and new? I grew up as a Ninja Turtles fanatic. I love the Ninja Turtles. I love the first two movies to death. The third one I can still watch and enjoy because I liked it growing up, even though it's way, way worse than the first two. Especially as an adult, you see that quality dip, you're like, God damn. But as a kid, they were all the same. It was Ninja Turtle movies. But the second one, Secret of the Ooze, has always been my favorite. The new ones, though, the animated one wasn't too bad. That came out TMNT or whatever, like in what the fuck was that, like 2003? I don't know. But the Ninja Turtles movie, the Michael Bay one, the produced Michael Bay one. I know John, another guy directed it, but everybody calls them the Michael Bay Turtles. So the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, and then the Ninja Turtles, whatever the second one was called, I forget. They're okay. I basically have the same gripes that every other person that watched them has. That they made the turtles too big and too powerful. They're like gigantic monsters and not actually ninjas. Like they wouldn't need any training whatsoever to beat the ass that they do in those movies. They punch somebody and they fly 30 feet. But the personalities of the turtles they nailed. They got those right, which is one of the most important parts. I liked seeing Bebop and Rocksteady in the second one. Even Krang, seeing him a little bit was pretty cool. They really fucked up Shredder a lot. You could tell that they knew they fucked him up because they retconned it pretty quick in the second movie. But I could still watch those and have fun with them, but nowhere near as good as those first two. And they still like there's a lot of potential for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They could do a damn good movie and really like give that series a kick in the ass and bring it right back to where everybody loves it again. They just got to get the right people in place and not have crazy ideas like, Transformers Shredder. Let me see here. Believe in the hype. Do you think that Venom 2 should be rated R since Carnage is going to be in it? Do I think that it should be rated R? I'll answer it two different ways. Would I prefer it if it was rated R? You're damn right, for obvious reasons. Does it need to be rated R? No. They proved that it doesn't need to be in the first movie. I really enjoyed Venom. It has its flaws, but I never really understood the notion that Venom had to be rated R. Like when they said that it was going to be PG-13, there was controversy for weeks. Everybody's like, "Oh, they fucked this movie up. They sold out. Venom has to be rated R." I never thought he did. I'm like, well, he fits just fine in the PG-13 world. You can do a lot of shit with Venom in PG-13, and it comes across fine. It's fun. And they have to keep in mind, too, that obviously at some point they're going to want Tom Holland's Spider-Man to mingle with these guys. So when they do this Venom movie, which made fuckloads of money, so they're definitely doing the second one, and they're definitely going to do more villain movies. Like, I don't know if they're going to do Kraven the Hunter or whatever, but you got like Morbius coming out. You've got a couple more that people are talking about. They're going to have more. They're going to set up this universe with the villains until they get Tom Holland back, and then they're going to have Spider-Man enter the mix with all these villains established. And as crazy of an idea as it seemed, it might work pretty damn well. So you can't have really rated R, like hard R, Logan style movies and then throw Tom Holland Spider-Man in it. It wouldn't work. So I'm totally fine with Venom 2, even with Carnage being PG-13. I mean, they can do plenty with it. But if they did decide to do rated R, would I jump for joy? Absolutely. I just saw a good question. Let me see. Fuck, I lost it. I hate this damn chat thing. Oh, there it is. Andy Sharp. Do you like Tim Burton? No. I don't hate the guy. I like Pee-wee Herman's Big Adventure. The Batman films are decent. I've never really been a huge fan of his two Batman films like everybody else was that grew up when I grew up. But Tim Burton, to me, he's got a couple good movies. None of them are movies that I love, even the ones that I like. But especially as of late, he's a guy that just feels so style over substance. He always wants to go big and wild and weird and throw Johnny Depp in a fucking costume. And it just feels like that overshadows his story a lot. Like I saw in theaters, Holly wanted to see it, so we went and saw it. What the fuck was the one with the school of kids that had powers? It was like maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember the name of it, but mediocre as fuck. I mean, it looked cool, but mediocre storytelling. And most of his movies, I feel that way. I'm watching it, I'm like, it looks interesting. You can tell it's Tim Burton. The dude can build a world, but story wise, not to say he doesn't have classics. I mean, everybody loves Edward Scissorhands. I wouldn't say I love it. I like Edward Scissorhands. Beetlejuice. I like Beetlejuice. Um, I'm sure I'm missing one. Sleepy Hollow is pretty decent. Um, there's a couple more, but I mean, the guy's done a lot, but he's never been an actor. Like at this point, I definitely don't. When I see Tim Burton, I'm like, ugh. But he's never been a director that's ever really resonated with me. Battle Rifle. What do you think of the movie Doom starring The Rock and Carl Urban? I have not seen it in years, so my opinion might have changed if I watched it today, but I always liked it. I saw it in theaters when it came out. Definitely kind of strayed away from the hell side of things and went more Resident Evil zombie style. But for what it was, I thought it was a damn entertaining movie. I thought the first person shooter sequence was really badass. I thought The Rock playing a villain was badass. I really liked Carl Urban. I liked how he kind of had to get infected to have super strength and everything. I liked the movie. Like I said, I might hate it if I watch it now, but when it first came out, I liked it a lot. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of scrolling through trying to get a question that I have not answered yet. Do you think Us and Get Out are connected? I hope not. I hope we're not going to have a Jordan Peele universe. It doesn't seem to be. Not to say that it's not going to go for probably a lot of the same themes, but no, it doesn't seem to be. On the outside looking in, it looks like it's a totally different story, totally different theme. Um, looks like a lot of statements, not so many questions. Let me see. Master of the Universe. I've never watched it, so I have no idea. Have you seen The Craft from Juno 2000? I have. I watched it as recent as maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I bought it on Blu-ray. It's always been a cool one. It's never been one that is like a phenomenal like classic to me, but it's around that Scream era, and it's a witch movie, so there's not a whole lot of those. But I've always liked it. It's pretty cool. I like Faruza Balk, I believe is her name, the main crazy chick, um, the chick from Waterboy. But she's really good in it. She's pretty creepy. So I like the movie for her to watch her kind of go off the rails. Have you watched Return of the Living Dead? I've seen it once. I need to watch it again. It's a little too corny B movie for me. That's a movie I feel like you had to grow up with to really like. It's a little bit far into the goofy for me, but I like Tarman. Some of the stuff about it was cool, but yeah, it's very B movie. So I had it hyped up pretty well for me too before I watched it. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's one of the best zombie movies ever," and I watched it. I was kind of like, hmm. Aaron Anderson. I'm a delivery driver for FedEx, and channels like yours and Lee's really helps the day go by faster. Well, thank you. I used to drive for a living too, driving to construction sites. So I would drive for 2 to 3 hours round trip, sometimes 2 to 3 hours one way to go some places. So I know how important it is to have shit to listen to. So thank you. I'm glad we can make your day a lot better because I know, ooh, rough days driving on the road. Do you ever watch the Cinema Snob on YouTube? No, I don't. There's not really. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of channels that I watch aside from my friends. I don't have enough time to watch YouTube most of the time. So when I do, it's usually to keep up with the content of people that I'm close with. Drum Dums, I mean, anybody in Scream Stream, Drum Dums, CP, Brian Lomax, Mother Mayhem, Sean Chandler is a good buddy of mine. I watch a lot of his stuff. Durbania. I pretty much stick to those guys just because I like supporting their, giving them views, supporting their channel, and I always like hearing their opinions on stuff. But as far as channels that are outside of that circle, I go through love and hate phases with John Campea. I really was a big fan of him when he was in charge of AMC and in charge of Collider, and then he went off on his own and did his own show. But he's one of those guys that he's one of like the movie pundit personalities out there that I probably respect the most because he has some of the most like level-headed opinions about 80% of the time. But there's 20% of the time when the dude's like fucking insufferable to me. Like there's things that he says, I'm just like, what? So there's little phases I go through, and a credit to the dude, he sticks to his guns, he sticks to his word or whatever. So just because I don't agree with him doesn't mean that he's wrong or anything like that. It just there's things that he most of the time everything he says I'm like right on, and then there's once in a while he'll say something and I'm like no. So he'll go on like political rants sometimes where he'll get really deep into American politics and bitch left and right. And then as soon as somebody like calls him out on it, he's like, I'm not American, I'm Canadian. And so it's like you work in America, you live in America, your show is in America. How do you separate yourself so much? I'm Canadian, fuck you. So stuff like that is what I mean when he's like when he becomes insufferable. But I still like the guy a lot. I still respect him a lot. So there's little love and hate phases where I'll watch the shit out of him and then he'll say something stupid and I'll be out of love with him for a couple of weeks and then I'll get back. So he's pretty much the only other like movie related channel that I'll watch outside of my friends on a somewhat regular basis. Cody, have you watched the Adam West Batman by Dead? No. I've never really had the interest. It doesn't feel like a type of era that's really going to appeal to me too much. It'd probably be funny to watch like with my kids maybe once or twice, but it's just something I've never really had the interest to go back and check out. Have you seen My Friend Dahmer? Creepy in my opinion. I have not, but Holly has been dying to see it, so I told her to go ahead and buy the damn thing and we can watch it. So I'm sure in the near future I'll see it. Do you think there will be a Scream 5 without Wes Craven? Asks Believe in the Hype. Yes. I don't know if it's going to be a Scream 5 or a Scream remake, but we will get more Scream. It might be 2 years from now, it might be 5 years from now, but there's too much you can do with the Scream series to let it rest with Wes Craven. And I don't think Wes Craven would even want us to let it rest just because he's passed away. I think he would want it to carry on. But, I think it's a series that the whole concept of it is just kind of commentating on the current climate of the horror culture and the horror film industry. So as soon as there's something new to talk about, you can do another Scream movie easily. You don't need to do a full reboot and try to retread the original. I think that'd be horrible. But you could do a Scream 5 and not miss a beat and just talk about whatever the hell is going on in horror in 2022 or something like that. So yes, I think we'll get another one. I just don't think anybody really has the desire or the a good enough idea to bring it out right now. But with Halloween 2018 succeeding, we're going to start seeing Freddy get a lot of traction. You're going to start seeing Friday the 13th get some whispers. And once you start getting some of those franchise kicking again and the slasher craze starts coming back, you'll see Scream come back pretty quick. Cody, what are your top 5 Batman villains? Asks Ryan Nelson 02. Well, the Joker's obviously number 1. That's a given. I don't think I've ever met anybody that would put somebody above the Joker. But the Joker's number 1. I don't know if I can rank them in order, but I will say my 5 favorite in no particular order. So Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler, Black Mask, Deathstroke, and trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of the Arkham games. I guess Harley Quinn. Yeah, I don't know if you'd pair her with the Joker, but we'll throw them in there. But there's so many good Batman villains. It's ridiculous. The guy's just got the best fucking rogues gallery in the world. But just off the top of my head, those are the ones that I like the most. But there's great ones. I mean, Catwoman's kind of a villain, kind of not. Poison Ivy's a great villain. Bane's great. Scarecrow and some of the more horror centric portrayals, especially like how the Arkham games did him, and the third game especially was pretty awesome. So I mean, there's a lot. There's quite a bit. I really want to see whenever they do have a Batman movie come out. I really want to see a Riddler that's like Jigsaw. I want to see a Riddler that like is sadistic and is like mentally fucked up and actually like tries to kill people with traps and shit like that. Like, if you're not smart enough to survive this, fuck you, you're getting chopped into a million pieces. I want to see that Riddler. I don't want to see the Jim Carrey Riddler. I don't want to see somebody sending out little, little riddles to everybody and trying to, just be smarter than him. I want to see like sadistic fuck. Juno 2000, have you seen the Sleepaway Camp sequels? I've seen Sleepaway Camp 2, and I've seen 90% of Sleepaway Camp 3. I fell asleep like maybe 15 minutes before the end. I mean, the first Sleepaway Camp, you either love it or you hate it. It's not a good movie, but if you're along for the ride and you enjoy it for how bad it is and how bad they knew it was, if you're along for that, it's awesome. It's probably my favorite, like, camp slasher. And Friday the 13th fans just unsubscribed. But I love the originals. Sleepaway Camp 2 it's fun in its own way, but it abandons a lot of what I like about the original. And it's a totally different portrayal of Angela. So it's fun for like a little camp slasher. 3 was rough. That's why I fell asleep during it. 3 was rough. And they filmed 2 and 3 back to back. So it was just weird that it's almost like they had all the ideas for 2, but they had enough budget to crank out a third one. So they said, fuck it, we'll just kill a few more people and give you a wig. But yeah, so 3 was rough. I've heard the 4th one is absolutely god awful trash. Is there a 5th one? I don't even know. But yeah, I've seen 2 and 3. Would you ever move to California? Probably not. I don't have any reason to move to California unless I had some amazing job offer. Like the movie industry hired me to be their personal critic or some shit like that. But no, I've never. California is a place that I have yet to even visit. I've never even been there before. But there's things about California that would scare me. Like the traffic apparently is like suicidal bad. The climate of the people out there in California, it seems like it's very toxic. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't live there, but it just seems like everybody gets pissed and offended about everything out in California. So I don't know. I don't know if California is the place for me, but I've yet to even visit there. I would love to visit there though. It's definitely one of the places, like if I could go on a vacation, it's like probably top 2 or 3 states that I'd want to visit. What are your thoughts on The Fog? The original is awesome. The original is one of the best ghost stories out there. It's a very underrated John Carpenter masterpiece. I love the score. I love the effects with the pirates. Very cool movie. The remake, probably one of the worst remakes ever. Horrible. What are your thoughts on Starman? I've not seen it, but I bought the Scream Factory release. I've yet to watch it. But Brian Lomax put that, I think, is number 3. Sorry, guys. I have like hiccups and stuff. But he put it as like number 3 in his top 5 Carpenter films in that little collab that we did last year. So ever since then, I've really wanted to see it. Just haven't had a chance to go around to it. The Horror Junkie 78 American Pie movie reviews. Fantastic idea. I love the American Pie movies. I grew up with them, and I actually rewatched all 4 of them like maybe April or May of last year, and I just had a blast rewatching them. I was like, I forgot how fucking funny these things are. So I would love to do a review series on those. The main ones, not all the side stories and stuff, because then we're getting a little crazy. Although some of those are pretty damn funny. But yeah, I don't know when, but that would be like if somebody would Patreon request that, wink, wink, that would be an awesome choice because I would have fun doing that. I see a super chat. John Kyle Stanton. Cody, have you checked your P.O. box lately? I have not checked it this week. So if that's a hint, I will check it out very soon, sir. So thank you for the super chat. I'll try to make it over there. I might be able to make it over there tomorrow. It's a weird spot because the city that I work in, just outside of Savannah, Pooler, Georgia, is their P.O. boxes were all taken when I tried to sign up for my P.O. box. So I had to get one in Rincon, which is the opposite direction, which I never go to. So the only time I ever really check my P.O. box is if we have to go grocery shopping and we go to the Walmart all the way out in Rincon. So I never really make a, whoa, I got blurry. What the hell? I never really pass it. So if it was in Pooler, I'd probably pass it every other day and I'd check it once a week, but I will make a point to check it. What are your thoughts on Final Destination getting a remake? I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. It's this is the thing. I actually got into a debate on Killer Flicks about this because a lot of people were getting pissed because it seems like the knee jerk reaction anymore when you hear X movie gets a remake, everybody goes, "Oh, what the fuck? Hollywood never has any good idea, never any original ideas anymore. This movie's so young, it doesn't need a remake. We could just do a sequel." Blah 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 blah. And everybody gets mad right off the bat. Final Destination is a movie where, with the exception of the first two films and one aspect of Final Destination 5, they're essentially remakes for every sequel anyway. It's not like there's this flowing narrative throughout the entire film that kind of like connects them all together for the most part. A little bit, but not a lot. There's not like a main character that we're following for the 3 or 4 films. It's not like your traditional sequel. It's not like Friday the 13th where there's, it connects, shows previously on Friday the 13th part 2. It's not like that. Like once you get past the little tie in between Friday the 13th or Final Destination 1 and Final Destination 2, it's the same shit recycled over and over again. Group of teenagers survive accident A, and then they all get killed one by one in gruesome ways. What the hell is the difference between a Final Destination 6 and a remake? None. There's no difference. If they said Final Destination 6 coming, everybody go, yay! Final Destination remake coming. What the fuck? It's exactly the fucking same. So I don't know. I don't know if that's why you asked. Hopefully I didn't offend you, but it's fine. Yes, I am in the mood for another Final Destination movie. Whether it's a sequel or a remake, I honestly don't give a shit because it's the same exact thing. They're going to have people survive some big elaborate death scene in the beginning. Somebody's going to see it ahead of time, save 6 or 7 of them, and then they're one by one throughout the movie going to get picked off in another gruesome way as death hunts them. It's exactly the same shit. Wash, rinse, repeat every sequel. So a remake does not make any difference if it's a sequel or not. So yes, I don't know if you were expecting a rant, but once in a while I got to give one. Yes, Final Destination getting a remake, I'm all for it. And I remember it's the writers of something, and I can't remember what the fuck it was, but it was a pretty cool choice. Let me see. Thoughts on a Spider-Man PS4 DLC with Venom, asks Game and Reader. Well, spoiler alert, if you have not played Spider-Man PS4 and you really want to see how that storyline plays out, just mute your microphone for a minute. I'll wave in front of the camera like this when I'm done talking about it. The ending of that game suggests that they're going to explore Venom in the sequel. So I highly, highly doubt that they're going to do anything with DLC because they're going in a wild direction where Harry Osborn is going to become Venom. Like Norman Osborn goes into that little lab at the end and opens it up, and you see Harry Osborn being healed from whatever his injury or his disease was. I don't exactly remember, but he's molding him into, he's fusing him with the symbiote to heal him. So Harry Osborn is going to become your Venom, and that's going to be probably your main villain in the next Spider-Man game. So yeah, they're going to save all their Venom guns for the sequel. And I can't wait for it because that Spider-Man PS4 game was fucking awesome. It played awesome. It was a little repetitive with like the side missions and shit. I wish they would kind of hone that in a little bit more, give us a little bit more variety in that stuff because it got very monotonous trying to get those trophies for all those side missions. But the storyline itself, the gameplay, the web swing and everything, phenomenal. So if they can make it even better in the sequel, man, it's going to be a good game. All right. I'm done. Spoilers over. What's your thought? Oh, here's a good one. Oh, here we go. C Cabral 92. What are your thoughts on CW making a Lost Boys series? My expectations are very low. My expectations are in the fucking gutter. Leave Lost Boys alone. You've already made horrible sequels to a movie that never wanted a sequel, that never needed a sequel. Why are you going to put it on the CW? This is what drives me nuts about TV series being made out of movies. If the movie is rated R, do not make a PG or PG-13 TV translation to it because it's not going to fucking work. The rare exception is something like Bates Motel. but how often do you get one of those? Like Hannibal. Hannibal's a good example. Hannibal, the show, is arguably gorier than the movies, even though it was on a network television. I think it was on like USA or NBC or some shit like that. But that show was fucked up and gory, and it was awesome because it kept the tone and it kept the basically the rating of the movies. They're not going to show a whole lot with this CW show. And CW made Supernatural. I love Supernatural. I love the first couple of seasons of a couple of those DC shows. It's not like CW makes garbage, but when you put Lost Boys on the CW, you know what it's going to be like. It's going to be like Supernatural, where it's going to have some horror elements, but it's never really going to go that far. Why? Why do that? So no, I have no interest in it. I'm probably going to watch at least the first episode because I'm a whore and I don't like saying all the things that I just said and not at least giving it a chance to win me over. So I'll probably watch the first episode. But yeah, you said your expectations are very low. Mine are non-existent. Hey Cody, do you think the Thorn trilogy from Halloween is better or the Dream trilogy from Nightmare? Dream trilogy. Oh, I guess you mean Dream Warriors, Dream Master, and Dream Child. Um, Deshaun Riley asked that question, by the way. Do you think the Thorn trilogy from Halloween is better or the Dream trilogy from Nightmare? Well, the Dream trilogy from Nightmare has my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street and my favorite slasher film of all time, which is Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is mediocre. It was my favorite as a kid, but as an adult, it's mediocre. And Dream Child, I don't like at all, with the exception of the very first kill. You get into the Thorn trilogy, and you have Halloween 4, which is one of the better Halloween sequels. And you have Halloween 5, which is the worst Halloween sequel. And you have Halloween 6, which is the most frustrating Halloween sequel. So I don't know. That's a very tight race. If I had to choose one, I would choose the Dream trilogy, obviously, but that's because I'm a Nightmare fanatic. It would be I'd be splitting hairs to try to decide which one was objectively better because it's basically the same thing. You have a great movie, mediocre movie, terrible movie, and so I don't know which one. I don't know how those would even out. You know what I mean? So it's pretty close. Matt Tyvik, what is your favorite Fincher or Kubrick film? I have not seen too many Kubrick films. The Shining would be my obvious choice for him, and my favorite Fincher film, which I've seen all of because he's one of my favorite directors. Probably Seven. Seven's probably my favorite film by him, but he's got a lot of damn good ones. Fernando, did you see the new Suspiria? I actually gave a full-on review for Suspiria about half an hour ago, so rewatch the video and you will get your answer. But yes, I did see it. Aaron Hatcher, when is the next Scream stream? We're aiming for Wednesday. It was my fault. We had to reschedule this weekend. We were all guns blazing, ready to go Saturday night. And I already had my daughter who was sick, but I was planning on putting her to bed with some nighttime cough syrup so that she could just kind of heal and rest. And I was, going to roll the dice that she was going to stay in bed and I was going to at least try to do Scream Stream. If not, I was going to, bail at whatever point in the show she woke up. But right, maybe half an hour before we were getting ready to start, Holly called me from work and said they sent her home because she was as sick as Riley was. She got sick within a couple of hours before she went to work. And so since she was coming home sick, I already had a sick kid. I was just like, I can't do it this weekend, guys. It wouldn't have worked. I basically was like, hey, go ahead, go on, do the show, and I'll be on next time. But they wanted to reschedule. They didn't want to do the show without me because we're going to talk about our 2019 most anticipated movies on the next episode. So we rescheduled it for Wednesday. So my bad as far as Saturday. If you were waiting in the comment section, waiting for us to get rolling, life happened. But Wednesday is when we're aiming to get that show back up and running. So unless something comes up, look for it on Wednesday. Let me see here. I'm not subscribed and I got this live notification. Sounds like YouTube's telling you to subscribe. Sounds like fate. Scott Reynolds, favorite De Niro. I'm assuming De Niro movie. Damn, that's a hard list. I think I did a top 5 De Niro movies actually. I don't know if this is the answer that I gave in that video, but number one would probably be Goodfellas. I fucking love Goodfellas. Goodfellas, Midnight Run. Oh my god, I love Midnight Run. Midnight Run might even be number one. I'm not even sure, but it's one of those two. But there's so many great De Niro movies. You got those. Meet the Parents is awesome. Um, and the guy's got a ton of mobster films, but you got an underrated one like The Score. I love The Score. Um, I thought he was great in Silver Linings Playbook. Trying to think of like an off the wall choice. Goodfellas and Midnight Run definitely compete for my top though. I love those movies. Juno 2000. You got a lot of good questions tonight. Juno, have you seen Hostage with Bruce Willis? Yes, and Hostage is the shit. I saw it in theaters, and it's a movie that I rewatch at least like once every 2 years. I love Hostage. If you have not seen Hostage, do yourself a favor. Basically, it's Bruce Willis. He's a hostage negotiator. He fucks up, and a bunch of people die, and he gives up the life of being a hostage negotiator to be a just small, quiet town sheriff. And something very big happens in this small town, and he is yanked back into the life of being a hostage negotiator because um, the people who are being held hostage have ties to a gang, basically, and the gang takes Bruce Willis's family hostage until he can get that family out safe. So he's fighting for their lives and his family's lives at the same time. It's not as convoluted as I just made it sound, but it's a very badass movie. It's got a very dark, twisted portrayal by Ben Foster as like the main villain. It's awesome. So yes, I love that fucking movie. Explosive Phoenix. Oh shit, where'd it go? Damn it. Every time I go to start reading something. Explosive Phoenix, they already started. No, wait a minute. It was before that, I thought. Nathan Oswald with another super chat. I live in California, and besides the amusement parks like Six Flags, Disneyland, Universal, it's not worth it out here and overrated. Oh, there you go. So thank you for the super chat again. Another one. Mike Helmer. Do you plan on ever reviewing True Lies? I'll probably review it whenever it comes out on Blu-ray, which seems like fucking never. Like, why do we not have a Blu-ray of True Lies? But yeah, eventually I will. That's one of those films. Like, eventually I'd like to review basically every movie that I've seen, every movie that I love. Obviously, it's gonna take time, but True Lies is a damn good one. Tyler Tompkins, watch Lady in the Water, sir. So Tyler Tompkins, maybe Durbin as well, but we were having a little in our group chat. Tyler Tompkins is a unashamed lover of the Lady in the Water movie. And everybody on earth besides Tyler has told me how terrible that movie is. I've never seen it. So he's trying to coerce me. I think he's hoping that I'll watch it and I'll be the number two to his number one. We'll be the two Lady in the Water fans on earth. I lost that question that I was getting ready to read, but let me see. Juno 2000. Damn, dude. Sorry I keep answering Juno's questions, but they catch my eye and they're always really good questions. Juno 2000, have you seen Pet Sematary 2 with Edward Furlong? Yes. I grew up watching Pet Sematary. It was one of my favorite horror films of all time growing up, and it was one of my dad's favorite horror films that he introduced me to. So it was one of those movies that we kind of bonded on. Like, hey, want to watch Pet Sematary tonight? Yeah. And we'd put it on in the middle of the night, just me and him. And he always told me how horrible Pet Sematary 2 was. So I never watched it growing up. I always had interest. I always had a little bit of curiosity. It's like that forbidden fruit. Like, I kind of want to rent Pet Sematary 2 just to see how bad it really is. But I never did. Then I joined Killer Flicks. And anytime somebody brings up Pet Sematary, you get at least a couple of dozen people that say that they love Pet Sematary 2, and you get about 5 people that say that they love Pet Sematary 2 more than the original. So it started piquing my curiosity. I'm like, I need to check this fucking movie out. I never realized people actually liked it. And I watched it about 3 months ago. And I'm with my dad on this one. It was fucking terrible. I watched it. It's definitely, it's different. It's goofy. It's weird. Totally different style movie. But I don't get it. Yeah, it was it was bad. I didn't enjoy it hardly at all. It was kind of like watching a train wreck where like I couldn't look away. Like it wasn't boring, but it was just like, especially compared to the original, I was just like, the fuck is this? So yeah, I am not a fan. Not a fan of that one. Fright Night review is coming, right? Yes. I said it was coming this weekend, but like I said, everybody getting sick. My job changed my schedule on me. One day last week, I usually go in at 5 in the morning, get off at 3:30. They changed it to 7 in the morning, and I got off at 5:30. And then had to turn around and go to back the next day. So like my work schedule fucked me during the middle of the week, and then everybody was sick this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to work on it. So it took all of the free time that I had to be able to get the high tension review out for Michael. So yes, the Fright Night review is coming. I'm hoping by the time Scream Stream airs, I'll have it done. I'm not going to get it done tonight, obviously. I could have, but I figured I'd rather just spend some time with you guys for a change instead of working by myself on a review. But I'm going to try to, since Holly is home tomorrow from work, I'm going to try to get it finished editing tomorrow and try to get it released. But definitely my goal is by Wednesday night before we go live on Scream Stream to have it out. The only other video I had kind of waiting in the wings was that Loot Gaming unboxing, which judging by the views, nobody gives a fuck about unboxings on my channel, which is fine. It's a sponsorship thing, so it's not necessarily something that I'm overly passionate about doing. I don't really do unboxings, but there is really cool stuff, so I will be doing those once a month regardless. But Fright Night, yes. So look for it by Wednesday. I wish I would have had it out this weekend, but yes, Fright Night is coming. I've got Invasion of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space is coming up. I've got shit, I'm starting to blank. I got Army of Darkness, I believe, is a Patreon request. The Crow, one of my newer Patreons just requested The Crow. I'm excited about that one. I've got like 15 or 16 movies. I'm just trying to think of like the major ones that people were probably really get excited about, but those are all going to be coming between now and the end of February. Legister Awesome. Do you think Jeepers Creepers 4 will happen? No. I don't know what kind of ownership Victor Salva has over the creative rights of that franchise, but he has to be really in charge of that shit. Like he has to own the vast majority of the rights to those characters and to that story, because if the studio could have gotten Jeepers Creepers 3 away from Victor Salva and did it without him, they would have. Because they've been trying to make Jeepers Creepers 3 for like 10 years. And he kept getting blockaded and blockaded and blockaded because people would find out that he's getting ready to shoot somewhere and they would ban him from it because of his, I'm not going to get into it, but because of his crimes. So, all the hell and high water that they went through to get Jeepers Creepers 3 done. And then they didn't even get a full theatrical run like they were going to. And then they did that bullshit where it was like, one night only, you could see it in theaters, and it just kept getting blocked and blocked and blocked and blocked all the way to the end, all the way to the finish line. And when you finally get to see it as a fan of the films, it was fucking terrible. It was a garbage movie. It was basically a movie that's, the entire purpose of the movie was see you when we do Jeepers Creepers 4. And I don't think it hardly made any money. Critics trashed it, fans trashed it. Obviously, nobody wanted it to get made. So I'm of the opinion that, like I said, if they could have gotten that movie made without Victor Salva, they would have done it years ago. So I don't think they are able to make a Jeepers Creepers movie without his involvement. And I don't think he's willing to give it up to where they can make it without his involvement. So I don't think you're going to see a Jeepers Creepers 4. If Jeepers Creepers 3 was at least somewhat close to the first one, even somewhat close to the second one as far as quality, I would have hope that after struggling maybe another 10 years, he would get a fourth one made. But the storyline of the fourth movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Jeepers Creepers 3, but it points in the direction that Trish is going to come back to take on the Creeper, the sister from the first movie. And for years, Victor Salva was saying that the story of Jeepers Creepers 3, which at one point was called Jeepers Creepers Cathedral, was going to focus on the storyline of Trish and the father from Jeepers Creepers 2 teaming up to take on the Creeper after he woke up at the end of Jeepers Creepers 2, whenever he had like the bat out of hell thing, when it was like decades later. They were going to team up to take him down, find out his origins, and finally kill him once and for all. That was going to be the story of Jeepers Creepers 3, which is what the story of Jeepers Creepers 3 should have been. But for whatever fucking reason, he decided to make a movie that basically just spins its fucking wheels pointing towards that storyline, gives some stupid ass twist about, hey, one of the main characters is actually one of the kids on the bus in Jeepers Creepers 2. So surprise, Jeepers Creepers 3 takes place between 1 and 2. Wasn't that cool? No. And it makes no fucking sense because that kid was not in that fucking movie. But yeah, as a long rant, but no, I don't think Jeepers Creepers 4 is going to happen. Do I want it to happen? If they could get it away from Victor Salva, yes. Because the decline in quality from 1 to 2 to 3 is astounding. If you could get a good director, a good writer to come in there and wrap that series up, or at least give a damn good sequel to give it some life again, I would be all for it. Because the Creeper is just too badass of a character to let die like that. But I don't think it's going to happen. Not anytime soon, anyway. Any plans to bring the family back to Orlando for vacation? Would love a meet and greet with you and Lee somewhere like Universal. I don't have any plans at the moment, but here's the tricky part. If I'm on a family vacation, it is very against my own how do I phrase this? It's counterproductive to the enjoyment of my vacation to have any kind of YouTube focus whatsoever, because Holly will get pissed the fuck off if we're on vacation and I start doing videos or meet and greets and shit like that. I would love to do that. Like if Lee and I and Brian and CP and Mother Mayhem were talking about, it might not happen this year because we haven't talked about it since, but we were talking about doing Spooky Empire. All of us go to Spooky Empire in Orlando. And if we ever did do something like that, we would have both on YouTube and in Killer Flicks and everything, we would have everybody a good amount of notice. Like, hey, if you're in the Orlando area, come out and hang out. But as far as just a family vacation, me and Lee, we recorded I was in Orlando for 3 nights, and the middle night, Lee came out to meet me. So it was the first time we met face to face, and then we hung out for a while, and we filmed 2 videos, one for his channel and one for my channel that never saw the light of day. And I was in the doghouse for the rest of my vacation because I kind of, in Holly's eyes, abandoned her and the kids to go hang out with Lee for a couple hours, even though, I don't know, we can get into it on my side of the story. But anyway, if I tried to do anything like that again, I'd get the devil stare. But yeah, look out for something like Spooky Empire. That's probably a lot more realistic. Like it might not happen this year, but next year especially, we'll probably try to really make that happen to where at least 2 or 3 of us, me and Lee for sure, because we live right next to it, but me and Lee and hopefully some of the other Scream Stream crew can meet up in Spooky Empire, and then we'll let all you guys know. But that would be cool to get a meet and greet with any of you guys. That was just kind of a funny story I had to tell because I was in the doghouse for a while. Like, you're fucking doing YouTube shit. Let me see here. New Child's Play trailer February 8th. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they got. Let me see. Oh, I'm seeing questions here that I've already answered, so I'm going to go back down to the bottom now. So let me see. That's why you proposed first. All right. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. Blaze Sawyer, can you do an American Werewolf in London and Paris review? That's a good idea, and I probably will try to do that this year, because not just because American Werewolf in London would be a really fun movie to review, but American Werewolf in Paris is a movie that I actually find myself defending. I saw that one in theaters. I grew up with that one, and I think it's way better than people give it credit for. If you compare it to American Werewolf in London, you're already kind of, you're losing before you start. But as a standalone movie, as a horror comedy and as a werewolf film, I actually think it has a lot to offer. So I would actually really like to review those. So good idea. David Catone. Here we go. Do you think Black Panther will win Best Picture? Let me go ahead and state this clearly. Whether you believe it or not, I'm going to state it because unfortunately it has to be stated before I say my opinion on this. I am not a racist person. Everybody has a little bit of prejudice to them, I think. Even the most non-racist person in the world has something about, that they'll see and they're like, eh. But I'm not a racist person at all. I've been extremely close with, I have one of the people that I love and respect in this world the most is a guy that I worked with for 4 years of my last job who is a 50-something-year-old black man. So, I mean, I have no prejudice whatsoever. One of my best friends in the world lives in California. He's a Hispanic guy. I don't care. I don't see color. I see people. So this is not a racially motivated opinion. I need to put that out there because it seems like anybody that says anything negative about Black Panther or Get Out or whatever like that, hey, fucking racist white guy. No. So I shouldn't have to say that, but I always feel like I do. Do you think Black Panther will win Best Picture? If Black Panther wins Best Picture, I will never take the Oscars seriously ever again for as long as I live. And I barely take them seriously now. I think the fact that Black Panther has a Best Picture nomination is a fucking joke. And I say that completely objectively. I totally appreciate the importance of Black Panther. I totally get how exciting Black Panther is for the black community. I totally get it. The first movie, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that it took this long for a movie like Black Panther to exist. A movie that's pretty much mostly black cast that really hones into the African culture, that has this huge world building thing that's skyrockets into the box office, and even going as far as getting into the Oscar recognition. I could totally understand why, from a certain perspective, that's exciting. If nothing else, it's exciting. I get it. But purely objectively, Black Panther is not even fucking close to being one of the best pictures of 2018. Not even top 15, in my opinion. I don't even think it's the best comic book movie of last year. So I damn sure don't think it's one of the best movies of last year. I think Avengers Infinity War is much better than Black Panther. And I actually liked Aquaman a little bit better than Black Panther. And if either one of those, Aquaman or Avengers Infinity War, got Best Picture nominations, I would call bullshit on that too. Like there's a very, very select few comic book films that I thought have been good enough to be Best Picture quality. The Dark Knight would be one, and Logan last year would be the other. Logan I thought was fucking phenomenal. I was actually angry that didn't get more attention. It won Best Adapted Screenplay, which was a big thing, but I thought it deserved a lot more. But it feels like, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it feels like from the outside looking in that this is still them reacting to the whole Oscar so white thing. A couple years ago, I mean, everybody knows it, but a couple years ago, it was basically all white nominations, which is more the fault of Hollywood, not necessarily the Oscars, that at the time still Hollywood was pretty much funding mostly white directors, white actors, white script writers, everything like that. So they got into a lot of heat for not having any black nominees that year. Immediately after that, they immediately started course correcting, which they should do. But as a result of that, you got movies last year like Get Out that got nominated for, I think it got nominated for Best Picture, but it got quite a few nominations that I didn't feel like it deserved. And it's the same kind of argument that I've had with Black Panther. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why that's important, especially for the message of Get Out and for some of the social commentary that it dives into. I get it why that's a very important, if not thought-provoking movie. But as somebody who is a horror fanatic, that wasn't even in my top 5 favorite horror films of last year. So speaking purely off my opinion, obviously that's not even close to being one of the best films of the year. But this year, especially with Black Panther, like Get Out is a way better movie than Black Panther was. Black Panther was good, but it had a lot of issues with it. I haven't rewatched it since the theater, but if you watch my review, like the ending fight, the CGI on that was really rough. It felt like Black Panther was a guest in his own movie sometimes because he's like the fifth most interesting character in that movie, which is good for world building. But if you got a movie called Black Panther, I kind of want to get interested in T'Challa and his storyline. And I was more interested in Killmonger. I was more interested in his sister. I was more interested in Michonne's character. I never remember her name, but he felt like he was kind of underdeveloped a little bit. And there's some other things in there too. It's still sticking to that Marvel formula, sticking to the Lion King formula a little bit. Like it felt like a movie that didn't have a whole lot of surprises to it, but world building, action wise, character wise, importance wise, it was really good. And I gave it a positive review. I would still give it a positive review, but just, yeah, the whole thing with the best picture is just, it feels like, and that's why I keep enunciating that, it feels like they're including it to avoid controversy more so than they're including it because they actually think that it belongs with the other films that it's there. And that's not a racial thing. It's just, you look down that list, you look at movies like Roma, this black and white, artistic Alfonso Cuarón film, and you look at A Star Is Born, the eighth remake of this beloved movie where they have a original music, and they got Bradley Cooper directing for the first time. And then you look at, shit like Green Book and like all these really Oscar type movies, which aren't even necessarily, aside from A Star Is Born, which was a surprise for me. Most of the time, movies that are in the best picture category are movies that don't really appeal to me anyway. But it feels like Black Panther is kind of like that popular movie category that they were trying to invent that everybody got pissed off. It kind of felt like that thrown in there, like the popular movie, let's just throw it in there. So I don't know. I have a lot of strong feelings about the best picture, but at the same time, I really don't give a fuck about the Oscars. So it's not strong feelings in the sense that I would really argue it or debate it that strongly, because I honestly don't give a fuck. If it wins best picture, I just don't take them seriously anymore because they're doing it just to kind of get themselves out of trouble, it feels like, for being so, having blinders on for so long. It feels like they're still reacting to that, but I don't know. I'm curious what the comment section is going on with me talking about all that for right now. As a black man, Black Panther most likely is a social justice warrior vote. See, like, I wasn't trying to use that terminology, but yeah, that's pretty much how I was feeling about it. It felt like they were just kind of including it for inclusion. Let me see. Now everybody's getting into heavy debates. Whoops. Let me see. Trying to find some more questions. Everybody's just talking now. Nuclear fusion. Bradley Cooper not even getting nominated for Best Director is a joke. That brings another interesting conversation as far as the Oscars go. I have never understood this, and you'll see it quite a bit. I have never understood how the movie that wins Best Picture doesn't automatically win Best Director. I really don't understand it when you're nominated for Best Picture and you don't even get a nomination for Best Director, which has only happened like 5 or 6 times. But yeah, like the example you just brought up, A Star Is Born is nominated for a lot of things. It's nominated for Best Actress. It's nominated for I think it's Best Actor for Bradley Cooper. I could be wrong. But Best Picture, Best Song. But the Best Picture is the big one. I've never understood logically. Like, okay, if you're saying that, let's just say nomination wise, you are in consideration for being the best film. That means that out of all of the movies that came out in 2018, your film had the best storyline, the best script, the best dialogue, the best characters, the best music, the best cinematography, the best blah 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 blah. All the different movie making aspects. You were the best among the best of the year, especially if you win. That means that you were the best. So we'll go to that. Let's say you win Best Picture. Your film was the best film of 2018. Then how do you not automatically win Best Director? Because if you're saying that, let's say, for example, that Bradley Cooper did get nominated. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that A Star Is Born wins Best Picture. It's not, but let's say it will. A Star is Born, Best Picture. Best Director, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. How is A Star is Born the best film of the year, but Alfonso Cuarón did the best job at directing of the year? So you're saying that Alfonso Cuarón gave the best camera work, got the best performances out of his actors, utilized the script the best, edited the film the best, put all of the different elements of filmmaking together the best this year, better than anybody else that worked in Hollywood in 2018. But his film wasn't the best picture. This one was. I've never understood that. So when you get things like, and it seems almost like they have their two favorites most years. Let's say, like, was it last year that Moonlight won, or was it the year before? Let's take that year. So it was La La Land and Moonlight. It seemed like La La Land and Moonlight were the two favorites of that year. And it always seems like when you have that, the two favorites, they'll give one best picture and they'll give the other one best director, almost like a compromise. But I've never understood why you don't automatically win both. It's just, it's weird. But yeah, Bradley Cooper not getting a best director nomination when his film got nominated for best picture is just strange to me. And it's because there's more nominees allowed for best picture than there are best director. So some of them are going to get cut off, but it is weird. Dylan98 with a $2 super chat. What movie comes next? A new Friday the 13th or a new Nightmare? A new Nightmare. If nothing else, because of the rights issues with Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is still on its way out of court right now. If you're not aware of it, you have Victor Miller, who wrote the original Friday the 13th, and you have Sean S. Cunningham, who has produced all of these movies and has kept the franchise going since the first movie. So from Friday the 13th 2 onward, Sean S. Cunningham has been in charge. There's been a legal battle where Victor Miller wants either damages or he wants rights to the franchise because it's all based off his original script. And Sean S. Cunningham wants it to be the way it was, where your original script and you have the rights to the original Friday the 13th and the distribution rights and all that good shit. But the franchise forward, just utilizing the character of Jason, is not your creative property. And the last that I heard, Victor Miller won one part of the court. So it's still kind of tied up in all of that. That's why we haven't seen a Friday the 13th movie. They had like up until 2017 to make one, and they decided not to because of the box office results of Rings, of all things. But I think we'll see a new Nightmare. We'll see one announced by the end of this year that they're making one. I guarantee that. We'll probably see one in theaters, if not by the end of next year, by the middle of 2021. Friday the 13th will not be too far behind it, because then by then I would think that they would be able to get the rights out of the way, and those are very quick, easy movies to make. But I would put most of the money that I have that Friday or that new Nightmare would a new Nightmare would come out first, because there's no legal battles. They just have to get a script together, and they have to get a director and get somebody to play Freddy. So I would put my money on that. Blaze Eddings, Walton Goggins as the new Freddy, or OG Robert Englund as OG Freddy. Your thoughts? Neither. I've said this a lot. I know it's sacrilege for Nightmare on Elm Street fans, but I'm a Nightmare on Elm Street fanatic, so I'm here to be a voice of reason. You might not agree, but hear me out. We've had our time with Robert Englund. Robert Englund has given his whole life basically to this franchise, and God bless him for it. But I don't need to see any more Robert Englund. I don't need to see more of Robert Englund's incarnation of Freddy. And if you didn't need any more proof that we don't need any more of it, did you watch the Goldbergs episode where he guested? Now, I know it's a comedy show, but the fact that he guested on that show and the lines and the delivery that he had in that show proves to me, which I already knew, but proves to me that the Robert Englund incarnation of Freddy will always and forever be mostly known as comedian Freddy, jokey Freddy, silly Freddy, goofy Freddy. And we don't need that. We don't want that. I love Robert Englund to death. Robert Englund. But the fact remains, regardless of your thoughts of the remake of the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street, Robert Englund has given us far and away the best version of Freddy that we've ever seen, i.e., Nightmare on Elm Street and Dream Warriors, and even Freddy's Revenge to a degree. But he has also given us the absolute far and away worst version of Freddy that we've ever seen, which is Nightmare on Elm Street 4, 5, and 6. So I don't have any need or desire for Robert Englund to squeeze out one more. Aside from that, I don't need him to squeeze out one more because let's say, for example, that everything I'm saying is wrong and he delivers an awesome Freddy performance once again. He's not going to do another one. The guy he's old. He doesn't even want to do another one right now. So if you give a fucking truckload of money to him and say, please come back for Freddy one more time, and he does and he nails it, that's it. That's all you get. So why get one more? I feel like we need somebody that's going to stick with this franchise for whatever we get in the next movie onward for a while, just like Robert Englund was. So I would rather make that clean break now than to do it again in 4 or 5 years and have us be spinning our wheels again. What are we going to do without Robert Englund? Now, as far as the Walton Goggins thing, I've said this numerous times as well. When we get a new Freddy, it's probably not going to happen because it's not the way that Hollywood works. But I do not want an actor that I recognize playing Freddy. I don't want to see Walton Goggins or Kevin Bacon or Brad Pitt or fucking Daniel Day-Lewis playing Freddy Krueger because I don't want to see Walton Goggins. I want to see Freddy. And if I see Walton Goggins as Freddy, I'm going to see Walton Goggins. If I see Kevin Bacon as Freddy, I'm going to see Kevin Bacon. I want a mostly unknown or completely unknown actor to be found that has the passion for this character, that has his own take on the character, that will give it its own mannerisms, his own voice, his own feel, and literally recreate the character of Freddy in a good way, hopefully, but at least give it a shot. So that when he nails it, like Robert Englund did back in 1984, and we have this new incarnation of Freddy and this new franchise going forward that's got its footing again, you have Freddy. You don't have actor A playing Freddy. You know what I mean? I don't want them to sell a Nightmare on Elm Street based off of what actor they decide to give a truckload of money to play Freddy or what actor decides to come in and play Freddy. I just don't want that. I want to see a completely different iteration of Freddy. I don't want to see somebody doing a Robert Englund impersonation. I don't want to see Jackie Earle Haley. I thought Jackie Earle Haley was damn good for what he had to work with, and I would have really loved to see him come back for another one with a capable director and a capable script writer. But even with him, it's been too long. Even if you got him to come back and do another good one, how many more are you going to get out of Jackie Earle Haley? Because he's an older guy too. So I think you need to find somebody in their late 20s, early 30s, probably more early 30s, so he kind of fits the character more. But in mid to late 30s, even there's someone in that age range where they can stick with this character for at least a decade or so, for at least 3 or 4 movies. That's what I want. Let me see. Why would Kevin Bacon be Freddy? There was actually rumors going around for a while that he was going to be playing Freddy. That's why I said Kevin Bacon. Trying to see if there's any questions here. AZ's Cards dropped a super chat of $5. Thoughts on X-Men Dark Phoenix not coming out? Will it be the story we've been waiting for? Oh, coming out. Will it be the story we've been waiting for, or will it tank like X-Men The Last Stand? I could not wait for Dark Phoenix to come out. I was very excited for it because I was actually a fan of the kids that they hired for the Apocalypse. I thought they were a really good cast, and I was really excited to see what they were going to be able to do with this new incarnation of Jean Grey. And I thought they had all the pieces in front of them to do it way better than The Last Stand did and really redeem it. But all the signs are pointing that this movie might be the worst X-Men that we've ever seen. It's been delayed twice now, and it got delayed like a motherfucker just last time, like 9 or 10 months. You have a director in Simon Kinberg who knows more about X-Men than probably anybody on the earth because he's been the one in charge of and producing all these X-Men movies since the beginning, but he's never directed a film before. Taking his first time directing job with this big sci-fi spectacle X-Men Dark Phoenix movie. And you have the whole drama going on with the Disney Fox merger. God knows what decisions is already being made with that. And every single source coming out right now that is close to the production of this movie is saying that X-Men Dark Phoenix is a fucking train wreck. But they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how they're going to fix it. They have no idea how they're going to rectify it. There's rumors that it might even come out on Hulu and some other weird shit. So I'm hoping to God it's all unfounded, it's all bullshit, or they just come up with some magic way to fix it if it is all true. But I'm quickly losing faith in that movie. The trailer didn't impress me at all. The little trailer that they gave us, it looked like the most mundane, vanilla, redundant X-Men story that we'd already seen numerous times with direct callbacks to X-Men The Last Stand, like they're doing the same shit. So it looks like it's probably going to be pretty terrible. And it sucks because it's probably going to be the last X-Men movie we see before this Disney takes over and completely reboots the franchise and starts over. So it's going to be basically the end of the legacy of this incarnation of X-Men. And all signs are pointing that it's going to be a disappointment. So that sucks. Got one more super chat from Mikey Hartley for $5. Thank you, man. Hey, Cody, did you ever think you will review all the Sleepaway Camp movies? I'm sure I will eventually. It's kind of the same answer I give for all the friends. Hey, you want to review this? I'm like, yeah, eventually. I say eventually because I don't want to make promises, but I definitely want to review the first one. Whether or not I will be quick to review the franchise or not, it just depends on my mood when I get to it. But yes, I do want to. Favorite Star is Born song, Jody Mangum. Shallow's probably the safe choice. That's the one that I like a lot. I learned to play it on guitar and everything, so that was the only one that I had enough interest to actually learn to play. But yeah, there's a lot of really good music in that movie. I like the southern rock stuff more than I like when Lady Gaga's character kind of goes off into the Britney Spears world. I don't really like any of those songs. But the stuff that like Bradley Cooper and her and Bradley Cooper by himself, I really like that. But Shallow is probably the best one. Just that kind of Johnny Cash, June Carter element that it has to it. I like that a lot. So Waluigi #1, are you over 50 years old? Do I look like I'm over 50 years old? Because if I'm over 50 years old, I got the fucking fountain of youth. Logister Awesome. Cody, do you think that Strangers 3, Saw 9, The Purge 5, The Meg 2, and Hellfest 2 will happen? Well, let's go down the line. Strangers 3, will it happen? I don't know how profitable that movie was, The Prey at Night, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, they kind of end it pretty definitively. So I don't know, unless they do a prequel, how they're going to do another Strangers movie. I mean, they could easily do a prequel. I guess it wouldn't really matter. But it took a long time to get a second Strangers movie out, so I really don't know how financially enticing that franchise is. Will we get another Saw 9? Absolutely, because as mediocre as I thought it was, Jigsaw made a pretty large profit, so they'll definitely make another one of those. Will there be another Purge movie? I would assume so, because they don't really cost that much to make, and I assume the first Purge made pretty much as the rest of them. The Meg 2, I highly doubt it. I don't see any room for that storyline since he kills the shark. But I didn't even think the Meg was that good. It didn't seem like anybody really cared for it all that much, so I don't see that happening at all. Hellfest 2, I could care less if I see one, but it seemed to be a movie that most slasher fans were at least somewhat okay with, so maybe. Again, I don't really know how financially enticing that is as a franchise either, but pretty cheap movie to make. So out of all of those, I would put all my money on Saw 9. All of the question marks, it's not going to work. What the hell? What is your second favorite movie of all time with about 55 question marks? And the next question is, I'm just fucking with you. What is your second favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie of all time is Die Hard. I've said that numerous times. My second favorite movie of all time, I don't know if I have a definitive second favorite movie of all time. A lot of these like favorite of all time lists, I usually have one definitive answer and then a collection of about 5 or 6 that could go in any order. Goodfellas, Midnight Run, Back to the Future, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Thing, The Lost Boys. Any of those could probably be number 2. So take your pick. Hunter Trevorrow just watched Ghost Ship again. Still love that movie. Have you seen it? What did you think? I actually just rewatched it a couple weeks ago too because it was on Netflix, and I still like it. I liked it a lot when it came out. I thought it was pretty cool, pretty underrated. It seemed to float under the radar for a lot of horror fans, but I really like that movie. It's got some cool kills, especially the opening one. I like the storyline to it. It's got some good atmosphere to it. So yeah, I like Ghost Ship. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Check it out. Have you seen, okay, Blaze Eddings, have you seen or reviewed Wes Craven's 2010 film, My Soul to Take? I'll just say this. Thank Christ Wes Craven got to make Scream 4 before he passed away, because if My Soul to Take was his final film, what a horrible way to go out. I've only seen it once, but the one time that I watched it, I thought it was fucking horrendous. So I have not reviewed it. Yes, I've seen it once. Will I rewatch it or ever do a review on it? I don't know. But from my one viewing, I thought it was atrocious. The horror show chimes in. The Meg 2 is already in production. Whatever. Jason Statham versus another big ass shark. Thoughts on The Crow returning to theaters one day from Alt KNT. I think they need to leave The Crow alone for at least 4 or 5 years. Like, they've been trying to get this Crow remake off the fucking ground for like 4 years now. It's shifted directors like 7 or 8 times. It's shifted lead actors 3 or 4 times. Luke Evans was in at one point. Fucking Loki was in at one point. Jason Momoa was attached to it for a while. Then he left. So it's got taboo attached to it just because of what happened with Brandon Lee. It's just got this thing where you just let it lie for now. You know what I mean? Like, shelve it. Don't fucking poke at it for a while. Let the dust settle. And whatever the hell this script is that you've been trying to produce for the past 3 or 4 years, revisit it in like 2025. Eventually, will we get another Crow movie? Yeah, eventually. But they've been trying to rush into it. They've been trying to force it into existence, and it's just getting resisted at every fucking turn. So just leave it alone for right now. The Cubinator. Will there be a new Halloween film this year? There better not be. Fucking better not be a sequel this fast. I don't want to see another Halloween sequel at the earliest until next October. At least take 2 years. When they get into that fucking Blumhouse model rush, let's do a sequel every year bullshit, that's when you immediately dip quality for quantity. And I don't want to see that happen. As many problems as I had with Halloween 2018, I want to see where the series goes from here. And I want to see if they can improve upon the things that me and quite a few other movie viewers had issues with, to see if they can make an even better sequel. And the chances of them doing that are extremely small if they crank one out really quick to throw out this October. I think if they were going to, we would have already heard about it anyway. So I really don't think it's going to happen. Any chance in hell. But even if there's talks about it, stop talking about it. Take your fucking time. What would you think of a Pumpkinhead reboot? Blaze Sawyer. They are supposed to be making one. I don't remember what the director was, but maybe about a year ago, I had heard some reports that they were already getting a script together. Somebody signed on a direct. They had already come to an agreement with the studio. They're going to go all practical effects and redo the monster practically. So all of that had me excited because it's a movie that could use a remake. But I haven't heard anything since. So for all I know, it might be dead in the water. Timon Boyd, do you like Hellraiser? I love the first one. I'll leave it at that. As far as the franchise, I've seen Hellraiser 1, 2, 3, 4, and Judgment, the one that just came out. 1 is one of the best horror movies of all time. 2 I probably need to rewatch, but it was a little bit too weird for me. But that one at least has some artistic merit to it as a sequel. It goes in some weird directions and some different directions and stays tied to the first movie. So credit for credit's due. It at least is a sequel that seems to be taking itself seriously. You get to 3, Hell on Earth, and it's a shut your brain off and have fun with it type of Hellraiser movie, but that's not really what I want from Hellraiser. And then you get to Hellraiser Bloodline, the fourth one, the one that's in space, and that's where you're really getting into like B movie territory and you really shut your brain off. From there onward, apparently, is this steep fucking decline of horrible Hellraiser sequels that I've never seen and never had the desire to see. So that's a franchise that everyone wants me to review, but I'm like, I'm putting it off as long as possible because I know once I get started, once I get the first one out, it's nothing but fucking pain from there on forth. Have you seen any of the Blade movies? Pool Stroke. Yes, I've seen all of them. I love the first two. I even like the third one more than most people, but it definitely has its issues. But yes, I would really welcome a fourth one. Blaze Sawyer, what do you think about Blumhouse rebooting the Universal Monster Universe? I actually made a status about this on Facebook. So if you don't know, today they announced that Blumhouse is taking the driver's seat to this dark universe, this Universal movie universe thing. And the first film they're going to produce is an Invisible Man remake that's going to be directed and written by Lee Winnell, the guy who is James Wan's writing partner for a long time, who co-wrote Saw, who co-wrote Insidious, and he just directed and wrote Upgrade, which was my favorite movie of last year. So, fuck yeah, that is awesome. And the most recent little Invisible Man type remake that we had was Hollow Man with Paul Verhoeven, and it was a Kevin Bacon movie, which I love. It's a badass, gory ass movie. So I think that's fucking awesome. But the status that I made when they made the announcement, I shared the status that Blumhouse was taking it over. I said, this is Blumhouse not letting their friends drive drunk. So they're like, all right, Universal, give us the keys. You're fucking up. Come on. But yeah, I'm excited about that. Let me see. AZ's Cards. When will there be a sequel to Summer of 84? If so, in your opinion, what direction should they go in? I don't want one. And if you guys watched my list, Summer of 84 was my favorite horror film of last year. It was my second favorite movie overall of last year. I fucking love Summer of 84. I thought it was incredible. Some people say, like, it seems to be a love or hate movie. Like, you get some people in the comment, like, what? Summer of 84 was boring. I thought Summer of 84 was brilliant. I feel like it tapped into that 80s nostalgia better than most things nowadays do, which we're in that 80s nostalgia fucking craze now where everything has to be 80s nostalgia, but it did it right. It had all really good, strong characters that were really entertaining, that worked well with each other, had good chemistry. You had this villain of Mr. Mackey. All the way up to the reveal, the movie was entertaining and was engrossing. Then you get to the reveal in the third act, which I'm not going to spoil, regarding whether or not he's the killer or not. And from there on out, the movie just goes fucking balls to the wall, insane, and just pulls out all the stops and goes in all the directions that most movies, if not all movies of this type, do not have the balls to go in. And the note that it ends on, the story direction that it ends on, the lasting impression that it ends on with these characters, that's where the story needs to end, because telling anything beyond that undermines what happens, and it undermines the consequences of what happens. If you have a Summer of 85 or a Summer of 95 or whatever the fuck they would call a sequel that tells what happens, it ruins literally the ending of Summer of 84, because the unknown aspect of what is going to happen is the entire point of the ending. And that's why it's so effective. And that's why, to me, it's so haunting and chilling and fucked up. So I don't want a sequel. As much as I love the movie, as much as I love the characters, and as much as I would still be a horror and watch it immediately, I don't want it. I think it needs to end exactly where they ended it. Otherwise, they're squandering everything that they built up. So that's my answer. Top 5 Michael Keaton films. The Film Addict. I can't think of 5 off the top of my head, but I'll give you my number one, and that is Multiplicity. I love Multiplicity. Timon Boyd with the super chat. Would you like to see Chucky in Mortal Kombat 11? I don't really care. I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan. I've never really been a fan of fighting games. I know they had Leatherface and Freddy and Jason and everybody else in there, but it wouldn't entice me to buy it. I get very bored quickly with fighting games. So me personally, I wouldn't give a shit. Uh-oh, busted by Holly. Holly Jones, shouldn't you be sleeping? I probably should be. It's 10:40. Holy shit, I've been doing this for 2 hours. I always mean to do these quickly, but then I have so much fun talking with you guys that time fucking flies by like that. Miss Shannon Andler Bong, The Nice Guys, or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Nice Guys. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's good, but I like The Nice Guys more. Have you seen Taxi Driver, and what are your 5 favorite directors by Matt Taviak? I think I mispronounced that earlier too. I have seen Taxi Driver. I have not seen it all the way through start to finish, but I've seen the movie in like 3 or 4 different viewings. I've seen the movie up to like maybe the halfway point. I've seen the ending of the movie. I've seen the middle part of the movie. So it's one of those movies I've seen different sections of. So I've seen the whole thing. I just never sat down and watched start to finish. I need to do that. I own it. I just have yet to rewatch it. And what are your 5 favorite directors? In no particular order. John Carpenter, David Fincher. I'll say Christopher Nolan, even though his last 2 movies have really disappointed me. I was not a fan of Dunkirk at all, and Interstellar I loved until that weird fucking ending. I need to rewatch it, but I'll still say Christopher Nolan. So them. I want to say Wes Craven, but he's done a lot of things that I don't like. Despite the fact that he gave me Freddy, I don't think I can put him on top 5. Uh, Probably Robert Zemeckis because he's given us some of the best movies of all time. And fuck, I'm blanking on the name of the director for Die Hard and Predator. What the hell's the dude's name? Someone's gonna chime in on the comment section. Comment section, help me out. Who directed Die Hard and Predator? It's the same fucking guy. He's directed a lot of things. Come on, come on. I could probably look up the answer just as fast. Usually someone chimes in pretty quickly, but I don't know what kind of delay I'm doing here. Die Hard. John McTiernan. As soon as I said it, see, as soon as I saw it, somebody popped it up with John McTiernan. So yeah, off the top of my head, I'm sure there's probably some I'm missing, but yeah, John McTiernan and the other ones that I listed, probably my top 5. Let me see. David Catone, other than Terminator franchise, favorite Schwarzenegger movie? That is a good one. See, I love Commando for how cheesy it is. I love Total Recall. Jingle All the Way, which I've never realized was a movie people hated until recently, but I've always loved Jingle All the Way. Kindergarten Cop. It's hard for me to choose like a definitive favorite that's not Terminator 2. I'm gonna go non-conventional and say Kindergarten Cop, just because I can't think completely of all the movies that he's done. I've loved so many of them, but Kindergarten Cop is one of those movies that has a little bit of everything that you want from Arnold. Twins, never mind. Ha, I did forget. Twins. Twins is my second favorite. Absolutely. Twins is fucking awesome. With him and Danny DeVito. Man, I'm glad I thought of that. So yes, Terminator 2 and then Twins. If you have not seen Twins, I don't want to overhype it for you, but I grew up with it. I love it. It's hilarious. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, who are like these genetically modified twins. So they literally are blood twins, but you got one that's short and stocky and one that's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the movie is just, it's awesome. I love it to death. I would want a Blu-ray of that before I'd want True Lies. Let me see. just are awesome. Do you think that they are still making Pirates of the Caribbean 6? They've already said that they are, but they're like soft rebooting it. They're not doing it anymore with Johnny Depp. Um, they're probably doing that so they can drop his big ass paycheck and go in a different direction. But I haven't seen the last what was it, Dead Man Tell No Tales or whatever. I've seen the first four. I love the first Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm one of the few people that love the second one. I think the third one is a jumbled mess. I thought the fourth one was incredibly boring. And so I never watched the fifth one, which is supposed to be a little bit better. But yeah. Better take your ass to sleep, says Holly Jones. Come home and make me. Let me see here. Has Halloween 2018 moved up in your ranking? No, it is not. Do you want a new Batman Arkham game? Absolutely. They look like if you did the full on like platinum trophy and you got the secret ending to it, they point in the direction of Azrael and that storyline. So I would even welcome an Azrael. Um, what the fuck is the name of that? There's a trilogy, a Batman trilogy, where they have the Azrael storyline. They have Bane breaking Batman's back, and Batman coming back to take the mantle from Azrael because he gets a little bit too murder happy. But I would even welcome a game that kind of goes into that, where Batman's fucked up and you have to play as Azrael for a while, and then you get to play as Bruce Wayne coming back or something. But yeah, any new Batman Arkham, I will fucking fully welcome because all three of those games are awesome. Favorite Stone Sour song by Jody Mangum. It's probably going to be a choice that people wouldn't expect, but they have a song called Imperfect on Audio Secrecy that is mostly acoustic, and it's a beautiful song. I fucking love it. So it's not like one of their heavy skull crushing songs or anything like that, but that's one of them songs that just sticks with me. So off the top of my head, I'll say that one. Ever see Primal Fear with Gere and Norton? Old film, but great film. Awesome twist ending too from The Artisan. Yes, and I love it. Primal Fear is awesome. It's a great courtroom drama. It's a great showcase of Edward Norton's acting ability. I think that was his first role, or his first major role at least. Richard Gere is great in it as this really cocky lawyer that gets stuck into this shitty ass case that he did not realize that he stepped into. Twist ending, which is brilliant. Yeah, Primal Fear is the shit. So I love that movie. Which former Disney Channel star would you kill off and now? Wow. None. I guess I don't hate any Disney stars enough to fucking sentence them to death. Let me see. Holly Jones, what do you Google the most? Shit, I don't know. Honestly, probably pictures and shit that I use in my videos for thumbnails and everything. I had to be honest, I really don't know. I don't use Google too often unless like me and Holly like to pull out Google on each other. We'll get into a debate with each other and like um I'll say one answer and she'll say the other and we'll all right, get on to Google and see who's right. Or we'll be watching a movie like, what the fuck is that actor's name? All right, let me see here. Artisan, hey Cody, are you going to see Alita Battle Angel in theaters? It totally depends on what the reviews look like. I'm not often somebody that says that. I usually don't give a shit about the reviews, but it's not a movie that really entices me a whole lot. It intrigues me more than it entices me, just because Robert Rodriguez is directing it, and he's very extreme hit or miss with me. And like the CGI and everything looks really good on it. It looks interesting. Like I said, it intrigues me. But like if the reviews come out and the reviews are mediocre or bad, then I won't because it's not really a movie for me in the first place. If the reviews come out and everybody's like going ape shit over it, saying how awesome and badass it is, then I'll go give it a shot. But it's just not my type of movie. So if for the most part everybody seems to be lukewarm on it, then I guarantee I'll either be lukewarm or stale on it. So I'm not usually the type to give that kind of answer. Usually I'll either go see it or I won't, and I don't really give a fuck what the critics say. But that is one where I will wait for initial reception of before I decide to spend time or money to go see it. Or, well, I won't be spending money before Holly corrects me. She gets me into the theater for free. So before I spend time to go see it. Let me see here. Home Slice, Cody Leach, thoughts on the Star Wars prequels? Eh. I rewatched Phantom Menace about 2 years ago when I bought the Blu-ray set, and it's worse than what I remember. So I don't think I'll be rewatching Phantom Menace ever again. I have never actually seen Attack of the Clones. Most people are shocked to hear that, but as a kid, I didn't like Phantom Menace enough to go see the second one. Everybody said the second one was even worse than the first one. I see clips of the second one all the time. And I don't like sand and stuff like that, and it looks like a movie that I'm destined to not like at all. So I really don't. I already know where the story goes, so I don't really have any desire or need to see it. I'm sure at some point I will, just so I can stop saying I haven't seen it. But the third one's decent. The third one's got some good stuff to it, but it's also a huge missed opportunity for that storyline. Like there's just the same problems as the first two. George Lucas just cannot direct actors and uses way too much overused, overblown, oversaturated CGI. So they're uh, they're not the worst thing in the world, but if I never watch the prequels again, I'll be just fine. Deshaun Riley, Cody, why are your ranking videos so popular? Can you do a Freddy ranking and get like 1,000 views in like 30 minutes and do a regular review and get less? Ranking videos in general are just popular because they're it's kind of like fast food videos. You know what I mean? You don't have to get real intellectual with it. You don't have to listen to me ramble for 20 minutes about how great Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is and get into all these, movie critique terminology. It's literally just topic 1 to 10, topic 5, or 1 to 5 or whatever. They're easily digestible videos. That's why most people do them, and they're easy to make too. Like even the list at the end of the year, like they're fun. A buddy of mine, Sean Chandler, he's kind of made his whole channel, for the most part, a ranking channel where he has different topics and he kind of goes off of what's currently going on as far as franchises and new movies. And I watch the shit out of his videos because they're fun to you can discuss a whole franchise in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like rank the Terminator films instead of giving 2 hours worth of videos between Terminator and Terminator Salvation or whatever the fuck the last one was, Genesis. Given all the reasons why I like or dislike each one, I can talk about the entire franchise in 10 or 15 minutes. Number 5 is this because of this, this, and this. Number 4 is this. And it's just, it's easily digestible and people enjoy them. So that's why you can drop a ranking and get views pretty fucking quick because people love ranking videos. Where if you get a review, especially the style of reviews that I do, where I take my time and I discuss everything about the movie, you'll never see, unless I just don't give a shit about the movie, you really won't see less than a 10 or 11 minute review on my channel. And it's because I like to dive deep into it. And most people that at least subscribe to my channel and like me appreciate that. But I get a lot of comments all the time like, Jesus Christ. Like one of my favorite ones I had recently was Leprechaun Returns. The comment was along the lines of, this movie sucked ass and it didn't take me 16 minutes to say it. And I was like, oh my God. And I get people all the time too that are like, that they'll bitch about how long the intro is. The intro is like 8 seconds. But people are so fucking impatient nowadays that they don't want long. They don't want in-depth reviews. They don't want any kind of insight. They want 3-minute, is it good or is it bad? And they can go and start doing something else. So the rankings appeal to that crowd more than reviews do. So that's why. And a very long answer that you probably didn't ask for. See, 10:56. I'll probably cut it off at 11, guys. So I'll take 5 more questions. I apologize that I'm not giving you more of a warning, but the time's getting away from me. I do need to get to bed at some point very quickly because I need to get up at 4:30 in the morning. Let me see here. Let's find some ones that I haven't. Your channel is ruining the playground. I don't know what that means. Let me see here. Kelken0706. Would you rather have Stallone as the Terminator or Arnold as Rocky? If you're saying like if somebody put a gun to my head and would I rather see one or the other, which is what it seems like you're asking, not both of them. I'd rather see Stallone as the Terminator because Arnold could not do Rocky. Arnold could not do Rocky at all. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, probably way more than Sylvester Stallone as far as like importance for me growing up. Arnold Schwarzenegger was like God. He was like the movie god. Like anything that Arnold Schwarzenegger did was like a fucking event when I grew up. Stallone, much less so. Stallone's more the actor that I grew to appreciate more as an adult, and I certainly hold him in a higher regard than Arnold now. But as a kid, Stallone or Arnold was the shit. But Arnold does not have the acting capacity or the writing capacity to do Rocky at all. Stallone could do Terminator very easily. Maybe he wouldn't be as iconic as Arnold. I'm sure he wouldn't be as good as Arnold in that role because the role of the Terminator just fits Arnold so perfectly. But I would much rather see Stallone's take on Terminator, and you would still get a franchise out of that versus seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger try to play the role of Rocky, and it would end in one very bad movie. Let's see where I'm at. Favorite Godsmack album, David Johnson, definitely Faceless. Faceless was kind of like when all the stars aligned for me for them. Like their sound was the best. It was the biggest back then. That was the best writing overall, like start to finish. That's the most coherent and complete album where you could literally listen to every single song and not skip over any of them. Everything was firing on all cylinders with Faceless. Everything after Faceless, as much as I still love the band, I have a lot of gripes with where they've went since then. Because you immediately went to 4, which is more of a blues album, rock and roll album, and they toned their sound down a lot, which was interesting for a little experiment. But then you go into the Oracle, and the Oracle kind of gets a little bit more to their signature sound, but they changed up their amplifiers and their guitars, so it still does not have the same power that it had with Faceless when they were playing with Mesa Boogie amps and Gibson Les Pauls. Then you get into 1,000 horsepower, which it slowly kind of goes more towards mainstream with their singles and a little bit more radio metal, radio rock. But 1,000 horsepower is a better album overall than the Oracle, but it doesn't feel as powerful as Faceless did. And then you get another last album, When Legends Rise. And despite the fact that there is probably 3 songs on that album that I genuinely do like, no. Stop it. Don't do that again, Godsmack. It's Godsmack watering themselves down to the lowest common denominator, saying, let's just make generic radio rock mainstream music. And that's, at least not for me, that's not what Godsmack ever was. So, favorite Godsmack album was Faceless, for sure. Let me see. We'll take 3 more. Crestfallen Bro, Fallen with Denzel Washington. Have you seen it? Yes, I have. That's another really underrated movie you guys should check out if you have not seen it. Fallen is basically the premise of Denzel Washington is a cop. He might be a detective. And there's this serial killer that he brings to justice and gets basically lethally injected that there's a demon that was inside of this guy that made him a serial killer. When he gets killed, it gets released, and this demon can basically jump from person to person just by um, basically it bounces between people, kind of like a disease, but not. But it could go into anybody, and so it starts taunting Denzel Washington, where he starts seeing this person. It's like it's all different people, but they start saying the same shit, and it's this demon taunting him for killing him. And it's a very cool murder supernatural mystery with a pretty cool ending to it. And Denzel Washington, I mean, that dude's awesome and everything. So if you haven't seen Fallen, it's actually a really cool movie. The guy that plays the serial killer is the guy who played Elias Koteas. He's the guy who played Casey in the Ninja Turtle movies, since we were talking about Ninja Turtles earlier. So yeah, that's a pretty cool movie. Time is on my side. Oh fuck. See, I just had a good one and I scrolled and then it disappeared. I saw one. Where's it at? Well, I can't see your. Oh wait, there it is. There it is. There it is. David Catone, new Shaft movie. Any thoughts? So, I put this in my top 10 most anticipated of this year. They have a movie coming out called Son of Shaft, and I said in the videos, I'm probably the only person that's going to put this in their list. But I love the Shaft movie from, what was it, 2000, with Samuel Jackson and Christian Bale. I love Samuel Jackson in that role. And after doing that video, I went to go watch Shaft last weekend, and I realized that I didn't have it, which I've got a collection to the size now where I assume I have shit and I don't. So I walked over to it. I was like, what the fuck? I don't have Shaft. So I ordered it, and it got here, and I actually watched it on Saturday. So I rewatched it, and then I love it just as much now. So it's I'm excited for it because we get more Samuel L. Jackson as Shaft. What makes me nervous about it is it seems like the cliche direction of, well, he just has a son now. So it's going to be Richard Roundtree as the original Shaft, Samuel Jackson as Shaft's nephew, the Shaft from the movie, and then now Shaft's son. So it's like a three Shafts basically. So I don't know. It could be terrible, but the fact that we get a sequel to that movie, what I love, which is a very kind of a movie that nobody talks about, it excited me. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Let me see. Uh, Let me see here. Long Q&A. Yes, it is. Like I said, time got away from me. So I'll do two more. So I'm going to try to find two really good, unique ones. You love the Shaft. I'm going to clip that. Let me see here. Are you excited for Happy Death Day to You, Calcan0706? Yes, I am. I actually had a lot of fun with what the fuck, I blanked. Sorry. I had a lot of fun with Happy Death Day last year. It was a movie that when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is obviously going to suck. And when I went to go see it, I had a blast with it. It should have been rated R. That was my main negative with it. They could have been gory with the kills, and it would have been a perfect horror movie. But even as a PG-13 movie, it was still a lot of fun. And when they said they were doing a sequel so quick, I was like, of course, it's Blumhouse. But when I saw the trailer for Happy Death Day to You, it seems like they found a really cool, fun way to do a sequel out of it. The fact that now they're all the target, and anytime one of them gets killed, she has to kill herself to save everybody to kind of reset the stage. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And strangely enough, Holly actually cannot stand any movie or TV show episode that has that Groundhog's Day vibe to it, where you keep repeating the same scene over and over and over again. But she really liked Happy Death Day. Like, I put it in and I was like, I'm warning you, this is one of those movies. Because she'll sit there and be like, oh my God, it's that fucking thing. I hate it. But we watched Happy Death Day and she really liked it. So that's like a really weird occurrence that she liked it. So it comes out on Valentine's Day or near Valentine's Day. So we're probably both going to go see it. But I'm looking forward to it. Last question. Okay, this isn't the last question, but do you have an Alter Bridge logo tattoo? Yes, I do. Right here with my grandmother's initials. Let me see. Okay, this is a good one. I'm going to end on this one. Mikey Hartley, have you ever rewatched a horror movie after becoming a parent and experiencing it differently? Pet Cemetery. Well, there's a lot of things about becoming a parent that you'll experience differently once you become a parent. Like there's certain things that if I see in a movie, it'll affect me a lot more emotionally. Like for a small example, I was on YouTube once looking up like there was a video I came across like 5 most disturbing scenes in horror movies ever. So I was like, oh, I'm bored. So I clicked it. And one of them was a clip from one of the Feast movies where a guy was running from monsters with an infant. And he looks back and he says, sorry, baby. And he throws the baby in the air. And the movie like slow motions the baby flying in the air. And I thought it was going to be like a joke or that somebody was going to catch it. It was playing for laughs. But no, baby comes down, splats on the fucking concrete with blood and crying. And then it shows the monsters go and start eating it for like a split second. I was sick to my stomach for like 4 hours just from that one scene. It fucked me up. It wouldn't have before I had a baby. But the overall thoughts on your question, a movie that I saw and experienced differently, Pet Cemetery. Because I've already said before, I grew up watching Pet Cemetery. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's my favorite Stephen King movie of all time. And it's always been disturbing what happens to Gage. It's never really emotionally and mentally fucked with me until I watched it after having Riley. The scene that got me the most was the scene when Lewis goes to dig out his son out of the grave. And he opens up the coffin, and they show the POV shot from Gage's perspective of him opening up the coffin. And then he's holding his son's cold, dead, lifeless corpse in silence in the cemetery, and he's just rocking it, just embracing his dead son. Even describing it now, you might not be able to see it. Like I'm almost holding back tears describing that because I'm picturing me doing that. Like it's a movie and a scene, especially where after having your own kid, you project yourself onto the main character and you try to imagine going through that. And just that one scene right there, that was never a scene that I ever really latched onto or ever really paid attention to or ever really got affected by, him holding his son's dead corpse. But as a father now, just thinking about as a father digging up your dead child and holding it one last time, like it fucks me up. And like it's almost it just makes me watch the movie in a totally different way. And the movie's already disturbing, the movie's already fucked up, the movie's already scary. But when you watch it, or at least when I watch it now, being a father, how scary, disturbing, fucked up, and how effective the movie was, it's now tenfold of what it was. So that's the best answer I can give for that one is Pet Cemetery. Just that one scene alone, just that one scene of him holding his son's corpse is like a whole other spectrum now that I'm a father. So like there's other parts of the movie too, like everything involving with Gage, but just that one scene is just like I said, even just describing it for you right then was like almost choking me up. So that is the best answer that I can give for that one. So that's going to be it for me, guys. I appreciate all you hanging out. I think we got up to like almost 200 viewers at one point, so this was actually pretty damn cool. I had a lot of fun. Just a little impromptu Q&A. I need to do these more often, but just a little preview of what to look forward to. I talked about it earlier, but the Fright Night review that I promised for this past weekend, but got too busy for, that's going to be coming out hopefully tomorrow night, but don't look for it tomorrow night. At least look for it by Wednesday night. So here in a couple days, look out for the Fright Night review. Beyond that, I'll probably do a community post saying some of the next upcoming Patreon reviews, but I'm doing pretty much exclusively Patreon reviews from now until I finish them, which I'm hoping to be done by the end of February, with the exception of probably Happy Death Day to You. That's like the only movie coming out that I can think of in the month of February. That's a missing one that I will for sure review. But keep an eye out for that community post. Like I said, I've got Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I've got Army of Darkness. I've got Fright Night, obviously, is one of them. I've got The Prestige, The Crow. I've got a lot of really good Patreon requests that I'm going to start cranking out. So check out all of those. Um, keep an eye out for Scream Stream as well. If you're not already a subscriber to Drum Dums, go over to him and subscribe so you guys can be notified when we do go live. But as of right now, the plans are for Wednesday night. So Wednesday night around 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Eastern time is when we'll get started. So keep an eye out for that. We're going to be talking about our most anticipated movies for 2019, our most anticipated horror movies for 2019. But other than that, guys, as far as like commentaries and stuff like that, it's really going to depend on time. But I'll try to squeeze out one. I'll try to do one this weekend, if not next weekend. But I need to do one because I haven't done one in a while. But keep an eye out for all that, and look forward to that Fright Night review here coming very soon. So thank you, everybody that donated a super chat. That was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for participating in all the really cool questions. I apologize if I didn't get your question, but the bed is calling me because I got, let's see, a little over 5 hours before I have to get up for work. So this was fun, guys. Thank you for hanging out, and as always, I appreciate all of you. So we'll see you next time. Have a good night, everyone.